Welcome to episode 10 of Atomic Talks. This time I'm with my good friend Brandon. Brandon and I go way back. I'm pretty sure we met in middle school and we played some basketball together in high school. And then around 2019 we became really close friends. I love this guy and his whole family, so it was an honor to have him on the podcast. As always, if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. What's up, guys? Back at it again with another episode of Atomic Talks. Today I got my good friend Brandon Archuleta here.
What's up, guys?
Just a little introduction on Brandon. He's like, me and him have been friends since high school.
I want to say at least 2014, 2015. But like as far as like good friends, the last 7 or so years.
That's okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it was kind of like around the pandemic time that we started hanging out like on the daily almost. Like
those pandemic days, bro.
Yep.
Something different for sure.
So man, how's the day been, brother?
Been good, bro. Honestly, got to sleep in for once. I never sleep in, so it was actually nice to get some good sleep. Other than that, bro, my Sundays I like to chill out on Sundays, so I was honestly just doing laundry before I came here. Nothing too exciting, bro. Nothing too exciting.
Okay. So back in high school, you used to play a couple different sports, right? You played basketball and then...
Honestly, mainly just basketball. Funny story, senior year, I did tennis for like 3 weeks, but then I realized I just wasn't good at it.
Really?
But I had some friends who did it, and they convinced me to just come out and try. So I was like, all right, I'll do it. Yeah, it wasn't the funnest thing, to be honest.
Really?
It just wasn't my natural element, for sure. But no, it was still cool. Other than that, it was mainly just basketball.
And what got you into basketball? You know, what was that sport?
Honestly, bro, my first main sport that I played was football. And then my parents just brought it up to me. They're like, one day, because I started basketball like 7, 8 years old. And they had asked me, they're like, would you be interested in basketball? I was like, sure, because my older brother played basketball. And then once I started playing basketball, I don't know, something about it, like, I don't know, it just clicked with me more than football. Don't get me wrong, I like football a lot too, but once high school rolled around, I kind of just gave up on the football thing and then just kind of solely focused on basketball, which it just became like, one of those main sports for, myself that I really enjoyed. And it was kind of like that safe place, whatever going on. Like even now today, like whatever's going on in life, like I feel like everyone has that one thing that like kind of helps them, and that's basketball for me. So it's just, I've always found that in basketball, so I think that's why I've always stuck with it. Something that's really cool. So
do you like watching basketball too, or just
I do. I would say like I don't watch it as much as I used to, like growing up. But it's still like, I keep up with it all the time. It's something that I don't think I'll ever like stop watching. But it's such a long, I feel like, especially like NBA, like it's such a long season. It's like 82 games. So I like watching March Madness, though. I watch that all day, bro. All day. March Madness is something I tune into. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like I'll even be at work and like I'll find like a little station. Like, so as I'm like helping out people throughout the day, they can't see my phone, but I make sure that there's something that I can always like keep an eye on the games. Like I've always done that. It's freaking hilarious, man.
Dang, okay. That's interesting. I don't know why, but I've never been able to get into March Madness.
Really?
Yeah,
I feel like, honestly, it's more exciting than, like, the NBA. Like, just because it can, like, be, like, these random schools, right, that, like, you don't even, like, really hear about, but they're actually, like, D1 schools. Like, these programs are, like, they have good people. They're just not publicized as much as, like, those Duke teams, North Carolina type teams. And then all of a sudden you'll see like this small school just beat them. And it's like, I don't know, it's just exciting to watch. Like I recommend just trying it, bro. I think you would like it. It's just like, it feels like it's more of like real basketball, if that makes sense. Cause like with the NBA, like don't get me wrong, I tune into it, but I feel like, I don't know, you get away with so much in the NBA. Like you see people take like 5 steps and then go dunk it and they won't call anything. I'm like, dude, like in high school and then like when I played in college, you take like, gosh, the littlest thing, travel. Though, like, they're so picky. And then like you watch the NBA, you can just do whatever you want. So I don't know, but like it's cool. It's cool. I like I think it's something I'll always keep up with as far as like sports wise. I love basketball. But I really like tune in more into like the NFL because I like to watch a lot of football too. So really? I think like just sports in general I love to It's just like always been a thing with me. I love watching sports. It's just like people like get caught into all these shows. And don't get me wrong, I'll watch like TV. I watch shows sometimes, but like if I'm watching TV, like 80% of the time it's something about sports. So
Really?
yeah.
So that's like is that like a family thing for you? Is that how the rest of your family is?
Some of my family members are like that, like my brothers. But no, I would think it's more of like a me thing. Like a lot of my family keeps up with like football. Besides that, they're not big sports watchers. Like they'll see me watching it and they're like, oh, who's playing? Or like, oh, who's like, but they don't really keep up with it like that. The only main thing they keep up with is football, I guess you can say. But me, like, I'll watch football, I'll watch basketball, and then sometimes I'll even watch baseball. I'll watch, bro. A lot of people don't watch hockey. I love watching hockey. I think that stuff's fun. So like, yeah, I'm always just, if I like, I can't say that I watch TV a lot, but like if I am on the TV, like I'm watching something sports related most of the time. So that's just kind of how I've always been, to be honest. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll watch some shows that I think are pretty interesting or binge watch, but I've never been like a guy who can just sit there constantly and watch shows like that, like on a constant basis. Like I've always just kind of been more of I like to keep up with sports and then go about my day.
Yeah, that makes sense. I get you there. And so you played basketball in college also. What college did you play for?
I played for Northern New Mexico. It's in Espanola. I only played there for one season. It was really like, don't get me wrong, it was a fun experience. But like, I mean, you see me, man, I'm like 5'8", I'm not, and it was like something cool to say that I could do, but I just wasn't like, between practice and then between getting shots up after and between doing homework, like I had no time to really like have a job. It was more of just school basketball. So I really wanted to start like earning my own money, start building up my own way. But I can say like the college basketball experience, like it was just fun to experience it, I was a freshman, so I barely played, but it was something that was still cool. Like, I got into games a couple times, so I can say like it was something that was still really cool to experience. But I knew it wasn't going to be like a long-term thing for me, so that's why I ended up leaving. But it's still something that I don't regret doing whatsoever. Like, it was something that was really cool, even though it was little Espanola, New Mexico. Like it was. There's some crazy stories about that place for sure, but it wasn't all that bad being out there. Like, because I stayed out there pretty much the whole time. I'd come down for the weekend sometimes when I had the chance to, but between all the practices, school, games, traveling, that was another thing. Like the traveling was fun too, just being on those road trips and stuff. I think you're like, even like when we were in high school, those dang trips that we used to have were hilarious, just like on the bus and stuff. I used to love those types of things. Like I think like road trips are just, they're really fun, like when you're going to play a game and stuff. So I enjoyed a lot of that. But yeah, ever since, like I'll still play basketball every once in a while, but it's not something that like I do all the time like I used to, as unfortunately. But I've been doing a lot of I do a lot of the bowling stuff now. So
yeah. So what got you into bowling?
Funny story. Like my grandfather, I can't say exactly how much time, but I can say at least roughly about 40, almost 50 years. He's been bowling his whole life. So he's always done it. So like I kind of grew up around it, like watching them bowl. My parents would bowl with them every once in a while, things like that. And then it was recent 2021. My family, they all wanted to join a bowling league, and they had asked me to join. So I was like, sure, like not thinking anything of it, bro. Like I'd only gone bowling with friends or little things like that. I'd bowl like, gosh, I sucked. Like literally. So like I decided to join a league with them. And like when I first started, I would literally like just like throw the ball like this. Like I had no technique, nothing. It was just something that was like really fun. But I mean, you know what I mean? Like I'm a pretty competitive guy. So like when I was sucking, like honestly, I didn't like that. Like I was just like, yeah, it's fun. But like as I was doing it every week and realizing I wasn't getting any better, I was just like, that's when I really started to like hone in and try to like, improve. Like there's so much more. Like I feel like with any sport, right? Like basketball, you shoot a basket, football, you throw it, or things like that. But like golfing, right? You hit a ball. But I feel like with someone who can tell you that's like has done a sport more than others, like there's so much more that goes into that sport than you think. Like, right, a bowling ball, you just think, oh, you throw it down the lane. But like as I started learning how to bowl, like you have to position yourself, like where you stand, where you throw, where you want to hit your mark. Like I can tell you right now, like now that I've been doing it for about 4 years, like when I throw a ball, like I know right away if it's a good or if it's a bad ball. Like if I throw and miss my mark, I know it's not going to hit exactly where I want to. And about 90% of the time, you're not going to throw a strike or a good ball. So I just feel like I've developed over time. I like practicing. I go to like what do basketball call it? They call it open gyms. They don't call that in bowling, but in bowling, like, they have like little events or like little things like this. So I would start going to those and just start like, learning how to bowl. And then now I do two leagues every summer. And then I do 2 leagues in the fall that go from like August all the way to May. So it's like a whole almost year thing. And then it's been cool. The last 4 years we've gone to, they call it the US Open. It's like nationals. You don't technically really have to qualify for that. It's just like a whole nationals thing that they do for like all kinds of different teams that you can form. Like when we go there, we see teams from Texas. You see teams from, gosh, I've seen teams from Maryland, like just all over the country. They all go to it. It's really cool. That's a whole different experience for sure. Like I'm sure like anyone who goes bowling out here, like, you've seen the lanes out here, like anything out over there is like completely different. Like nothing out here really prepares you for something like that because they do this thing called so like when it comes to bowling, like out here, they'll like oil the lanes and it's called a house pattern. The best way I can explain a house pattern is it's more of like a recreational. So it's still oiled, but a lot of the oil is like down the middle of the lane. So like it allows you, like you see those guys that just hook it like crazy and things like that. Out here, it allows you to do that more because the lanes on the outside, it's more drier. So it's going to allow the ball to kind of just like hook like this. Nationals, they like have this, I can't explain the whole pattern, but it's called a sports shot, and they kind of have like it's more of like a competitive oil. So you have to have a lot more control of your ball, and like if you miss, it's definitely not gonna go back. Because sometimes like I'll miss like by a board or two, and sometimes I'll still be able to like get a good shot, like, so I have that leeway like when I'm just bowling out here. In nationals, if I miss even by this, it's not gonna even come back. And I was just out there 3 weeks ago, and gosh, like it humbles you, bro. Like don't get me wrong, like I didn't do like absolutely awful, but like compared to like how I do on a normal basis, I definitely didn't do like, I didn't bowl anything like how I do out here. So those types of like tournaments and like people you see on TV sometimes, like I give them so much credit because I see people going out there and they're crazy. And then I go out there and I'm thinking, oh, like, I bowl. It's taken a while, but like now, like, I've been able to get like pretty high averages like out here. When I go out there, it's a total different thing. And I'm like, gosh, barely breaking 140s, 150s. It's pretty difficult, I will say. But no, it's a fun experience. Like I will say, like looking back at it now, I never thought like bowling would be such a big thing in my life. I never even anticipated or thought about bowling growing up, and then I was just asked to join one time, and then 4 years later we've gone to nationals. I do it every week. I can't, in the last 4 years I don't think I've taken a break. So but it's something I enjoy to do. It's really fun. Like I've appreciated like the process of it, because I think the first year I ever did it, I only averaged like 120, like 121. And now I'm up into like, getting close to like the 190s, which is like really cool. So it's cool to like see the progression, that's for sure. Because like I bowl with a lot of these people there, and they're like, oh, I've been bowling since I was 3, I've been bowling since I was 4, so like they've been bowling their whole lives. And so like it gives me like, it's cool to say like now that I'm so into it, I actually wish I would have learned when I was younger, but it's something that like, it's cool now. And I hope, next year we'll have a better nationals, because this year wasn't that great, but it was still fun. It's a really fun experience to do that. And then but yeah, no, that's like my main thing now is bowling, as far as like doing it constantly.
Nice. So do you think that like gives you a competitive outlet a little bit too, just because?
For sure, man. like I said, like I'm always been a naturally competitive guy, and like just like sports in general. Kind of, I say like I watch sports and like all this stuff. So even though I don't do like the basketball stuff as much, besides like going to like little open gyms or recs or something, like it gives me something to like look forward to as far as like sports wise, you know. It's something that like you know, even when I have work that day, because like I bowl at 6:30 at night, you know. So even when I have work that day, it's something I'm like, oh well, at least I get to go bowling right after this, you know. So it definitely like a motivational thing, gets me through the day type stuff, because you know, we all go through life, and some days you're just like, you don't want to do this, but then I'm like, you know what, I got bowling later, so that'll be cool. So, but yeah, no, it's definitely something that I've developed over time. I really, I don't see me stopping now. You know, like it's one of those things where I'm constantly doing it. I'm still constantly learning, even though I've gotten a lot better. Like I see some of these people, man, they're ridiculous, man. Like I even watch like bowling on like YouTube or like on TV. You see some of these professionals, and like, don't get me wrong, I like to think like I've gotten a lot better, but then I see these professionals and I'm like, yeah, bro, I'm not even nowhere near your level. Maybe one day, but not even close right now.
Yeah, no, I get you. That's how it is with everything, though. You know what I mean? Even with like powerlifting, it's like I start to feel strong, and then all of a sudden you'll watch actual powerlifters, and it's like, you know, nowhere close.
I think you were mentioning though, you have one coming up soon though, right?
Yeah. So July 26th, my next meet, and yeah, definitely excited for that. Going to see if we can put up some good numbers on that one.
Oh, for sure, man.
They have this little board up there in the gym, and it's like this like little powerlifting board basically. And yeah, I'm trying to slowly climb my way up it.
Because I will say, man, like I've seen your channel before, and like I even saw your like introduction thing. You're like, I'm not the fastest or like the strongest or whatever, but like, and like, bro, you're like, I've known you my whole life. Like, you're one of the most humble dudes I know. Like, because I will say, like, since I've known you for like the past over 10 years, like just the amount of like, you know, like bulkness you've gotten from when I first met you, like you're so humble about it. So like, there's got to be some type of competitive edge in you though. I feel like you're very silent about it, which is good. But I feel like, are you definitely like, when you look at those boards and like different things, like, is there like something that drives you competitively that just makes you keep on going? Like, is there something specific you think, or?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I'm definitely a competitive person. Don't get me wrong. I guess I'm just like, it's one of those things where like, I'm just so far away from where I want to be in a lot of aspects of life, you know?
I get you.
Yeah, not only for the powerlifting stuff. That's like one of those things I wish I would have started earlier. You know what I mean? Same thing with the bowling probably for you.
Yeah.
But with everything, like even in sports in high school, like I was always competitive. I always wanted to be better, you know what I mean? But it was also one of those things where it just like, I always was like kind of in a way, like this is going to sound serious a little bit, but like in a way, and it is kind of serious, I guess, but I've always been a little bit disgusted with myself in terms of the fact that like not reaching the potential that I think I could be at. You know what I mean?
I get you.
So like with basketball, for example, in high school, I feel like I could have been pretty good if I would have actually dedicated myself to it. You know what I mean? In soccer, I probably could have been even a little bit better than I would be at basketball, and I just never truly dedicated myself to it. And then, like, in hindsight, it's like I guess just where I was at the time, you know?
Yeah. No, definitely, man. Like, we go through different stages for sure. Like, I can definitely say, like, throughout my, I'm 26 now. So throughout my 26 years of life, just from like last summer to this summer, like I probably have never experienced so much change in my life. Just as far as like, it's a lot of things, you know, like just a lot of different events that have happened in my life. And, but like one thing I can say is like, if I was dealing through this, like what I've been dealing through the past year, like even maybe 5-6 years ago, I probably wouldn't. I don't know how I would have handled it, to be honest, but like, I think like that's just the part of growing in life. Cause like now, like, don't get me wrong, it's tough sometimes, but like, I feel like I've been able to like handle it, go through it, process it. And it just allowed me to like learn a lot more things about myself in general. Like, even though some of the processes of going through it has been hard and difficult, I've been able to like really learn about myself. Like, I can do this, and like I'm growing mentally, as far as I say, because like, yeah, like just some stuff that I've experienced within the past year. Gosh, if I would have gone through that like even just 5 years ago, I don't know how I would have handled it, to be honest. I don't think I was as mentally sharp as I am now, and I probably would have who knows? Who knows? I'm glad I didn't, but it's just a part of life. I feel like, because I've always like, like I said, I've known you, and gosh, you've always just I'm honestly jealous of like your freakishly athletic talent. Like I feel like you're just like one of those natural athletes. You know what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, no, I could say the same thing about basketball, even football. Like I said, football was like my first main sport that I played when I was younger, and then I did it all the way up until around seventh grade, and then I just stopped. And like I play flag football sometimes in like different leagues and stuff like that. And I just like sometimes I'm like, dang, I wish like what if I would have stuck with it? I could have. I'm not saying like I'd been some superstar, but like I'd probably be a lot better than I am now. Like when I'm going out and playing in these leagues, which is still fun, But that competitive side of me, I'm just like I want to be like So, but yeah, I just feel like it's a learning curve for sure. It's constantly. I feel like, gosh, be 26 and then 20 years later I'm gonna be 46. I'm probably still gonna be learning so much stuff. It's just a part of life. So
Yeah. And you just mentioned going through some things recently that you don't know exactly how you would have handled if it was like 5 years ago. You mind like delving into like an example of something like that?
Yeah, no. So I went through some life changes as far as like moving back down to Los Lunas. I lived in Albuquerque for a while. Just some stuff went on in my personal life where I had to move back, and then I had a couple good friends for a while there too, that I was really close with. Just unfortunately with what some of everyone's different. People go through things. I wish no ill will on anyone whatsoever. But unfortunately, like just kind of fell out with them. Like like I used to do some music stuff too with a friend that I had. That kind of fell away just because at the time just that guy was going through stuff, which I get. People have their own lives. I'm in no way, shape, or form judging people. I've gone through stuff, so we all do. So I have no way of I have no bad word to say about anybody. But then I had a couple family members pass in my family recently too, which has been tough. Within that span, though, I can say like of the year, one thing I've appreciated is I've actually been able to travel a lot. I've gone to Connecticut, I've gone to New York, I've gone to Pittsburgh. I was recently just in New Orleans. I was in Florida. So like, and throughout that span, I've actually learned a lot as far as like moving around, going stuff like that. I'm not saying like right now in my life, we'll see. But in the future, I can see myself maybe possibly like stepping out of New Mexico, maybe exploring something else, just because there's so much more out there. Not saying New Mexico is always going to be my hometown. Like this is where I lived my whole life and grown up. But you see so much other stuff out there, and it's really cool. And sometimes I think about exploring that. But yeah, kind of like, sorry to get off topic, but like to dive back more into like your question, I just think like as far as like the moving back here was a big thing for me. And then, just some people that I unfortunately don't communicate with anymore, associate myself with. I think the hard part for me was everyone, like, I know you've been to my house too. Everyone would always come over. We play volleyball. We do things like, I'll just hang out. And so like, it's kind of weird to say like, because that's been my home. Like, my grandparents lived where I was living, and then now my parents live there. So like, that's been my home like my whole life. Like I used to go there after school every day when my grandma and them lived there, because my parents were working, so I would go there every day after school. And I can honestly say like for the first time, like that's where that home kind of felt more of like a, gosh, I hate to put it in bad terms, but like a prison. Like just because I felt like I was stuck there. And like, it was just reminding me of all the people that used to be in my life and all these memories I had. And it's not like that anymore. So like, that was a big struggle for me in the sense of like, dang, like a lot has changed. Like I don't have these people who used to be my people anymore. You know what I'm saying? So it was like a big change for me in that aspect. And then, like I said, unfortunately, I lost my grandmother a couple months ago. That was, death sucks in general. No one, I don't think anything can prepare you for death. One thing I can say is like, unfortunately, sometimes like, when someone's going to die. So you kind of prepare for that, even when it happens, it really sucks. My grandmother within a day, she got really sick. got taken to the hospital, and then within 24 hours she was gone. So like it was like a big shock to everyone. Like it was just my birthday a couple days before that. She had called me, her and I had a conversation, and I was just like, dang, like, you know, she seemed normal, like everything was fine. And then yeah, a couple days later, boom, like she was just gone like that. And I was like, wow, like that was like huge, like shock to me. Like we had just talked. So I just think like as far as like, you know, different obstacles, it was just a big change, like in general for me, is in the sense of where I was last year. You know, last year I was in Albuquerque. You know, I will say like I was in a relationship at the time. You know, I just had so many different things. I was at a different job at the time, so I had so many different things. And then compare it to now to this year, I have a different job. You know, I'm back home. You know, I lost a few people along the way as far as just not associating myself with people that I used to talk to on the daily. And then, you know, just losing a couple people in my life, lost my grandma, lost my uncle, from Indiana. It's just like a whole different change in like perspective for me. You know, I learned a lot about myself though, in the sense of like, even though I was struggling throughout that time, and like I was able to come through it, you know. And that's one thing I talked about, like one of our first segments about sports. Like sports has always helped me as far as mentally. Like even when I'm going through all that stuff, oh, football's on, let me watch football. Oh, I have to go bowling today. That keeps my mind occupied. You know what I'm saying? So like just different things like that really help out in the sense. So that's why I think like I'm such a like a sports junkie. It's always like, regardless of like what's going on in life in general, I can always fall back on, oh, I have bowling today, or oh, the football game's on today. That's cool. Like it's just, it keeps my mind occupied for sure. But yeah, no, diving like more into that stuff, it's been a weird year for sure, but I can definitely say like I feel good. Like, you know, now, you know, we're human. We go through things. I still have my days where I'm just like, what the heck? Like, I'm just not feeling it, or this sucks, and like things like that. But I feel like, yeah, when I said earlier about like the 5-year thing, I just wasn't as mentally sharp as I feel now. So I feel like I can't say like what would go on because it didn't happen, but like I just feel like I wouldn't have been able to handle it as good, and I'd probably be more of like in a, I don't want to sound bad, but like a depressive state or something, you know. Yeah, like I can say wholeheartedly, like I feel good now. I was going through a lot in the sense of like when this all first happened. I can't say like I've always been like how I feel right now, but but it's been like a trials and tribulations thing where I'm like, you know what, I feel good now. I know I can get through like a storm like that, you know. So it was more of like it feels good now knowing that like, hey, like even when things fall, like, because gosh bro, life goes on, you know, things are gonna happen. It's not gonna always be pretty, but one thing I have learned about myself in this past year is that like even when things are not going the way I want them, or you know there's some hard times going on, I'm still gonna be good. You know what I'm saying? So I know I can get through it. So that's been a big thing that I've learned about myself, which is really good. So
yeah. And how much do you think like family helps with that? Because like I don't like, I'm not saying speaking for everybody or anything like that, but I've met a lot of people that like they don't have like a super close family. You know what I mean? Like and I don't know if it's a Hispanic thing, but I think it's a little bit to do with an Hispanic thing. Like,
for sure.
Like my dad's side of the family is my Hispanic side, and we're just like close knit. You know, like every weekend meet up. Like we got the aunts, the uncles, cousins there. And then your family is extremely close. Like so close that you guys have almost accepted me as part of the family, and I love it so much, man. Like you guys are the coolest. Like and like your mom, your dad, your brothers, like all you guys are just awesome.
I definitely think like it's a Hispanic thing for sure. Like, and this is not, you know, like I just see like other, you know, family. And I'm not saying it's not just Hispanics, you know, but I just see it more in a Hispanic thing. Is like
it's like a cultural thing.
It's like a cultural thing, yeah. Because like, man, like for me personally, people who have like done me wrong in the past, or like maybe I'm just not on great terms with them, or this and that. But like if you're someone that like I've genuinely cared for and I've had love for at one point in time, if you're going through something, or if you ask me to help you out, it's just like, I don't know if it's just the way I was raised, but like I'm gonna help you regardless of how upset I was at you, regardless if I don't think not to sound mean, but like don't even deserve my help because of like, what happened between us, whatever happened between us at the time. I'm still going to be there. Like, it's just something that's always been put into me. Both of my parents are Hispanic, and gosh, like, yeah, you've seen events like when we have like, holiday parties, 4th of July, Halloween, things like that. Everyone just gathers together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can wholeheartedly say, when I was younger, oh, I want to go out, I want to do this, this and that, going from high school to college, all this stuff, the partying stuff. And now I can honestly say, like, during the weekend, I'm just like, is the family getting together this weekend? Like, are we gonna are we gonna play volleyball? Are we just gonna play games? Are we gonna that's like the stuff I look forward to now. Like, it's so weird to think about, man. Like, the cycles of life. Like, I will say, like, my family used to give me a really hard time, like, especially when I was around 18, 19, because like just in a different point in my life where I wanted to go party, I wanted to go hang out with friends. I saw all my friends doing it. I want to be a part of that. I want to do this. So I was always going out. And they'd be like, you never hang out with us. Like, what are you doing? And like, I always thought, like, get off my back. You know what I'm saying? But like, I think it's just a family thing. Like, everyone wants you there. Family wants to be there. You know what I'm saying? I can see that in both sides, definitely. Especially my mom's side. Like, my dad's side's like that too. But, I have an uncle who lives in Houston. My other uncle lives in Arizona. So like, we don't get together as much. But like, when everyone's in town, obviously we're all going to get together. My mom's side, gosh, they all live, in Albuquerque. So we all, like, when we have parties, everyone's getting together. We're all just, I definitely see that in that side, because I've been to other family events that isn't culturally Hispanic, and I'm not saying like the family dynamic isn't there. It's definitely there, but you feel a different presence when like you're with the Hispanic family, for sure. Like, everyone just looks out for everyone. Everyone's just, regardless of what's going on, like, we're all going to be there for each other, whether we have something good going on, bad going on. Even if there's two family members that may have something going on between each other, they're going to figure it out. It's not going to be like, oh, she said this and that. And like, like, I feel like that's always been, like, just growing up in a Hispanic household, like, that has been a big thing. Like, I see that, like, I've seen my family throughout my 26 years of life go through it, as far in the sense of everyone's like broken apart, we're not talking, this, and I don't get involved in that. I'm like Switzerland, bro. I sometimes I see, like, not even just within my family, but I just see drama going on in general, or people having kids, our age and stuff like that. Like, I always make this ongoing joke of like, I'm 26, I see people who are like 23, 22 having kids. I'm like, dang, like, they're over here, we're like, about to have a baby. I'm just worrying about what I'm going to eat today. Like, I'm like trying to figure out, what am I going to eat today? What's the process of like, what am I going to do in the sense of like just part of my day? I can barely handle myself sometimes. So, but yeah, man, I just think like in general, like, I've seen the broken side of it, but also like I've seen everyone come back together, a whole realm, even though like maybe sometimes you just need some time apart, things like that. I've seen the family mesh back together every single time, so yeah. And I can definitely, like, that's something that, I'm sure it happens in a lot of other families too, but like, just my experience of being a Hispanic household, like, that's something I've seen. Like, I've seen it break apart, but I've always seen it come back together, if that makes sense. So, and yeah, I've always seen, it's just very family oriented, just, and even people who have come outside of the family, like, that's why I can say, like, you, for example, like, we've been friends for years, and then you've come around, you coming around, them seeing, like, you're just a good human being, a good person, a good friend. They're going to accept you into that. Like, that's just kind of like how my family's always been. So, like, that's why, when you come by and, like, can I get some water? It's like, bro, just go get some water. Like your family, bro. That's just how my family is, man. So, yeah, I'm not just saying, like, that's within the family. That's why, like, we have, friends, different people that come by, like, people that are genuinely, good people, and that, like, people that, we can get along with, and people that you just see the good in, you're always going to help them out regardless. Even if things aren't going the way that you guys may want it, or if something falls out or something like that, we're going to come back together. Or if you're going through something, we're going to go help you. That's just kind of like how we've always been. So,
and like, in terms of that type of family dynamic, it's like, because I get what you mean. I mean, I can actually almost see both sides of it in a way, from a cultural perspective, when it comes to like Hispanic versus non-Hispanic. Mm-hmm. Just because my dad's side is Hispanic and my mom's side is not, and it's not like my mom's side of the family, it's not like they're all against each other.
Yeah,
like that. It's not like there isn't. But they don't get together nearly as often. They'll go much longer periods of time without talking to each other. Sometimes there'll be like the same little feuds that happen, like that you were mentioning in your family, but they'll almost kind of like cause more of a separation, if that makes sense.
Like almost like a grudge type thing.
Yes,
right?
exactly. Maybe a little bit more of a grudge will be held.
Yeah.
Whereas my dad's side of the family, it's almost like this, like almost sort of an undying loyalty in the sense that like no matter what grudge there is or no matter what feud there is, you guys are always going to still meet up on that day or whatever it is, you know, like if it's on like the Saturday for us, I guess it's like every Saturday we're still going to meet up, you know, even if there's a little beef going on, it's going to last maybe a couple weeks, but at the same time, there's this almost like agreement that this is like the family's what we got sort of thing, you know?
Exactly, bro. Like it's something that you always just go back to. Like, cause I've seen it within my family of like, you know, obviously, you know, you have family and then you have like your very close inner family, you know what I'm saying? I've seen feuds within the inner family, within the outer family, regardless of what it is. Like, yeah, like we may be mad, even it may even be a couple months, bro. Like sometimes I've seen it, but everyone has always come back together. Like I've never not seen it happen within the family, you know what I'm saying? So, and yeah, no, like I'm not saying like people who aren't from Hispanic heritage, like, because I've been in different households like that too, you know, as far as like, you know, friends, you know, people I've talked to in the past and things like that. And they still, you know, care about each other. But I've also seen those like, if they aren't getting along type thing, like it's almost like they don't want to resolve it. And I'm not saying that happens all the time, but like I feel like it's dragged out longer, kind of like you said, within like just a period of time of that going on. But then yeah, just, and I can't speak for people in that sense, you know. So, but I get what you mean in that sense, because I have seen it, just the differences, you know, for sure. But
and like, do you think that there's like, so like obviously there's the pros to that where like, you know, we always have family, we always have the, like you said, like as we're getting older now, it's like we appreciate it more than we did when we were younger, sort of thing.
Right.
But do you think there's cons to that too? Because like there's like this concept where, and I'm not trying to be negative by any means, it's just kind of a talking point. But like, have you heard of that concept where you're like your personality is a culmination of the 5 people you hang out with the most, sort of thing? Have you heard that before?
I can hear it, yeah.
Or like, you kind of get what I mean.
I've heard that phrase before, yes.
So yeah, like whoever you associate yourself with, that's kind of who you become, sort of. Like, and if you like are always with family, and this is kind of something I've wondered for myself too, like it's obviously there's the pros where you like, and it's the most important thing in my personal opinion. So I'm not trying to knock it by any means. But it's like one of those things where sometimes I wonder to myself, like, does this hold me back in some way? You know what I mean? Like, because you know, there's a lot of people that will just like, as soon as I turn 18, I'm getting the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I
can't wait to get as far away from home as possible. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And sometimes it seems like those people that will get out of their house like at 18, never look back, sort of thing, like barely even call their moms or whatever. You know, it's like one of those things where like it almost seems like sometimes those people can make a crazy personality change, you know, and like, and maybe it's different because I mean, obviously it has to be different. Like those people probably don't have as structured families, and they probably have much more chaotic families and probably much more toxic families and things like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I feel like you never know what someone's going through in their household. But I definitely get what you mean with that form of the question. That's what I was mentioning earlier. Like my whole life, like I even had friends like out of high school that they went to like New Mexico State, or some of them went out of the state, and I was like, that sounds fun. Like I was considering it, you know, and then I was just like, wait, I don't want to, like a big part of me wanted to stay down here because my family, like, you know. Totally, yeah. I'm not saying that held me back, you know, because I don't regret anything that's happened now, but I definitely can see like maybe I could have experienced something like that, but I will say like the family dynamic of what I had and like me not wanting to leave my family didn't allow me to go there. Even I will say like even going to Espanola for, you know, not even a full year, but about 9 months or so, like it was difficult. Like even though my parents are literally 2 hours away, like it was weird, like not being in the same house. Like that was the first time I like moved away from home, and I'm not like, you know, at my parents, or I'm not with my people, my friends, you know, different things like that. It was definitely weird. That's why like I even look at it now, like, yeah, obviously, you know, we're older, 26, but that's why I've even said it now. Like I've looked in that sense of I love my family. They're my family. They're always going to be my family. But like, that's why honestly, we'll see like in the future if I stay down here for the rest of my life. I've been really considering like, maybe moving to Arizona or, somewhere out there, just, because again, like this is the most I've traveled within the last 12 months for sure. And I've been able to see like, wow, like there's a lot more out there than love New Mexico, but there's a lot more out there than New Mexico.
Yeah.
There really is, and yeah, like I said earlier, like it will always be a home here, but like it's definitely, I can say like I've never really truly considered moving out of here because all my family's down here,
Yeah.
So I do get what you mean in the sense of, I don't think it's a negative thing, but I see what you mean as far as like holding you back from maybe trying out some different things, I will say like, I'm not fully on board of like trying to move out right now, but for the first time I can truly say like I'm considering it, in the sense of considering my options of maybe furthering, or how do I say, expanding my horizons per se. I'm really truly considering it in the sense of, for me, you know what I'm saying? I love my family, but with technology nowadays, you can FaceTime them, you can do catch flights, different things like that, so we'll see where it goes. I'm not saying I'm gonna move, but it's definitely been more on my mind for the first time in the sense of maybe there's more out there, I guess I've just never truly considered that because I've been with my family and I don't want to leave my family, and even if I were to do it in the future, I'm not saying I'm ready to leave, let's get out of here. It'd be hard leaving my mom, leaving my, my brothers, my parents, everything, so that would be difficult for sure. But, I see what you mean with that question in the sense of, does it hold us back? And in a way, yes, I do think it can hold you back from things. But at the end of the day, like we're our own people. And I think like I'm starting to realize that now in the sense of not just the moving out thing, but like, got to do things for yourself. I've always been, like I said, it's just the way I was raised. So like, I'm always wanting to be there for my people. I want to, help them out, this and that. And now, like, as I've been going, like I said, just mentally this whole past year, I've learned, you know what, it's okay to do something good for yourself every once in a while. And, if your family or if your friends like truly love you for who you are, even if they don't agree with what you're maybe doing, or if you're moving, or if you're doing this, they're going to always have your back. So that's the way I've looked at it recently for sure. Because I haven't always had that mindset. I've always had the mindset of, I want to be here for my people. I want to be here for my moms, my dad, things like that. So, and don't get me wrong, I'm still here for them. But like, I've learned that, it's okay to do some things for yourself sometimes. I'm not a selfish person, but it's okay to be selfish sometimes and do things that you genuinely want to do. Because, at the end of the day, we're one person. So,
yeah. And it's ultimately a choice. And just like with any choice, there's pros and cons to it. Like,
oh, yeah.
And like, yeah, like I think both me and you have kind of made the choice to accept that concept of a family being among the most important things in life.
Oh, yeah.
And I would say that partially might be a cultural thing in a way. But then again, like you mentioned, like whenever you go out to travel, do you find yourself like almost feeling like a different person when you're out there?
Oh, for sure, dude. Like,
so it almost seems like having different experiences sometimes can like grow you as a person. You know what I mean? And that's the only thing that I meant whenever I said holding back. It's not like whenever I like say like holding you back in terms of family, it's not like I mean like I regret the choice that I made to.
Yeah.
I just mean that like there is definitely another aspect to this family dynamic that it isn't entirely like I love family more than anything. Like we're establishing this like definitely
for sure.
But whenever you choose not to leave the nest, for example, like I have done, and like there's definitely aspects that I'm like, okay, I probably could have grown more if I would have left the nest by now, And I understand what you mean by wanting to move away at some point, or maybe or maybe not move away.
Yeah, at least considering it, for the first time, Yeah. But no, I get what you mean there for sure. Like, yeah, it's not putting your family down. Like,
definitely not. Yeah.
In no shape or form. Like, like I can wholeheartedly say right now, like I don't regret anything that's happened in my life. From this point on. It's just learning lessons for sure. But it's never too late either. I feel like to kind of expand your horizons, maybe consider something new. So Yeah, no, I don't see it in like the negative. So I knew what you meant when it came to that side of the question for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting though, how like you can move to a different place, even if it's just a small trip. Because I experienced that whenever I visited Chicago for the last time. Um, yeah, it's just like while you're out there, you're with an entirely new group of people. You express yourself in entirely different ways because you don't have any connections with the people that you used, like like you don't have established connections with these people yet.
Yeah,
So you can almost establish the connection in whatever way whatever way that naturally manifests itself, and it almost makes you like this brand new person whenever
for
you're
real.
there.
Like when you come back, it's just weird, bro.
Yeah,
Like it's so weird. Like again, no, like I love New Mexico. Like this has always been my hometown. But like you go to a lot of these different cities and states, like we don't have a lot of that out here. We're more like desert. It's a lot of dirt. Like yeah, there's downtown and different things, but like there's just so much more out there in the sense of like once you explore it, and then like when I come back and I'm just like driving, to Little Los Lunas, I'm like, huh, like this is weird. Like like I was just in this big old city. Like I was just in New York City a couple days ago, and then I'm coming right back to Little New Mexico. Which again, I love New Mexico, but yeah, no, like you definitely feel like, huh, like was I just in a different world or something like that?
Dude,
like yeah, like
totally. Because when you come back to Los Lunas, like you know where everything's at.
yeah.
You're like this building, that building just got here.
Yeah, for real, bro. Like, what was funny though? Like when I lived in Albuquerque, bro, like I didn't come down to Los Lunas a lot. Like I would sometimes to visit my family, like more on like Peralta side, but like once you go like past the bridge, like it's actually expanded a lot. I will give Los Lunas credit. Like it's like every time I was coming back down on that side, I was like, oh, this is new, or oh, what the heck? Like when did that come up? Like so, yeah, no, I mean, again, love it. Like I'll always love it out here, but yeah, no, like especially like going out more in the like East Coast, just exploring more. I'm like, dang, like it'd be cool to like experience that more at some point in my life. So we'll see as time goes on, but I might consider, I think like I said earlier, this is the first time I'm truly considering, maybe there is something more out for me than just New Mexico, even though I love my family, I can still visit them. I can still call them. I can still, because it would suck. I would miss the crap out of my family, but no, like I've definitely, as I've traveled more, like it gives me more of a perspective of there's so much more out there than just here,
Yeah. And you said that like kind of the way you were raised was almost like to help people even despite any type of grudge you might have with them, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
That brings me to kind of an interesting concept that I almost wanted to ask you about, and it's almost one of those things where I don't know exactly how to ask it because I definitely don't mean any offense by it by any means. But like if we rewind way back to high school, like I always thought you were a really cool guy, and sometimes in high school there would be people at the school and things like that we were both friends with that would sometimes almost like say things that were like there would almost be like kind of mean like in a way, you know what I mean?
For sure.
Like I remember I don't want to name names, but like there was a couple people in particular that you were very close with that would almost kind of like
I know exactly what you mean.
Treat you like a punching bag a little bit almost.
They wanted yeah. No, for sure. I look at that now. I will say, like, I know those guys still. They're cool with me now. But I look back at it and I'm like, if I would have known what I know now, and I wouldn't have taken that. I think as I was growing up, like, because me nowadays, like, yeah, like I said, like, if I got my family, I'm good. I don't care who. Like, yeah, like, obviously, if I'm close with people, then I want to be with, like, I want, to get to know them, things like that. But, like, if people from the outside have an opinion about me, I don't care. Like, I will say when I was younger, I kind of was in the, I want, like, what do people think about me? What this and that? So I kind of just took it. If I had that mindset like now in the sense of I don't really care, like if you're not in my inner circle or like my family or someone that I truly know or someone who truly cares about me, I probably wouldn't have taken that. I will say, I knew it was happening. I knew it was happening because it was always just, oh, Brandon this, or oh, well, Brandon sucks, or Brandon, like, I felt like if any joke was going on, it was always pointed towards Brandon, like making fun of Brandon or giving Brandon crap. You know what I'm saying? And so I kind of just took it, man, because like at the end of the day, I would always hang out with them. We were all a group, obviously, and we'd all hang out and like things like that. And I'm just like, okay, this is just part of, I guess, being in the group. I have to be the punching bag. I wish I wasn't like that, at that time. Obviously, we learn over time. If I knew everything that like I knew now, I would have just walked away, or I would have stood up more for myself, because I'm not gonna lie, I was a scrawny little kid, man. When I graduated high school, I was like 115 pounds. I'm like 5'5", 5'6". I was a little guy, So I will say like no, like, and like, I don't want it to sound like, oh, physical altercation or something, but like, I feel like I would have had more of the courage to stand up for myself instead of just kind of being that punching bag. Cause I get what you mean. And I'm not here to like talk crap about anyone either, or name names or something. Because like, I'm still friends with some of those people nowadays. Like, I can't say we talk a lot, but every time I get with them, like, it's nothing like that now, I think it's just part of the high school thing. Cause like when I see some of those guys now, I'm like, hey, what's up, brother? Like, how you doing? Like, we're good. Like, like adults, you know what I'm saying? But I get what you mean. Cause I know one time, I can't remember what it was, but you and I, and this is like before we got really close, but there was like some event going on, and then we went to one of our friends' house, and you were driving, and it was just you and me, and you had asked me about that.
Dude, yes. So that's it. Ever since then, it's been in my mind, bro. So, like, the reason I asked that question is not because, like, whenever I used to see that happen to you, it wasn't, like, at all a thought in my head that, like I never recognized it as weakness on your part.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, I recognized it as strength on your part. Because I knew that those people would, like, make fun in a way that was, like, obviously due to their own insecurities,
mm-hmm.
due to their own things that are going on. And I never took it as a weakness point on your part because you always handled it with such love, dude.
Yeah.
And like that's something that that's something that's honestly magical about you, bro. Is like you handle it with such love that like no matter what they would say, even if it was like, dude, like I remember like they would say some things like they would call you Shrek at one point. Like that. Like it's like fucked up.
They would call me, dude. There were some names about it was bad. I get what you mean.
But you handle it with such love and with such like obviously anybody at that age, we all want to fit in, we all want to fit in socially and things like that. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't just that. You also were like, I think you like were somehow mature enough at that age to be able to oversee some of these things that like for example, like you're old, like almost kind of I feel like recognize where it was coming from. You know what I mean? Like recognize that it was coming from a place where like it was their own insecurities that were saying these things. They for some reason needed that like to keep
they
the group
needed
together.
That to feel like like I feel like I get exactly what you mean there. Like would I get bugged inside? Yeah, who wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
But I never looked at it in the sense of like I was the problem. I looked at it more in the sense of I feel like they had to do that to like feel better about themselves, then go right ahead. Like I'm not gonna let it define who I am, I guess. Again, like do I like looking back at it now that we're adults and like I've learned so much more from high school, like since I've been out of high school, I probably would approach it a lot different now, you know what I'm saying? But I just think at the time, like I knew the problem, and I'm not gonna say, and like again, I'm not gonna sit here and bash on them because there was some good moments with those guys, where they generally showed where they cared. Mm-hmm. And I guess like me being the person who I am, like I saw when they cared, and I knew that even though they had to bash on me, they had to do this and that, I still knew like if it came down to it, and if I was in a situation where I was screwed, I know those guys would come and help me in a heartbeat. So that's one thing I can say, like I genuinely appreciated about them, even though all the crap that they would say, because yeah, man, I dealt with it for a long time. Like I will say one of my best friends who lives in Arizona, he was part of that group too, and he was probably the only guy who didn't like. I think he saw what was going on too, but he is one of the only guys who never joined in, and that's why I can say like those guys. Like when it happened, I'm still friends with them to this day. I can't say they're my best friends, like people who I'm like, oh, this is my inner, these are my people for life. That guy right there, though, the one who stuck by it, the guy who, even though he knew it was happening, like he didn't join in. He didn't like, he was always just like a true guy like since the day I met him, gosh, him and I have been friends since kindergarten. He's always been like the true guy that, like, you know what, like, I love Brandon for Brandon. Like, I'm not going to join in on this. That's someone who, like, I can respect more. You know what I'm saying? Not saying I don't respect the other guys. Like, again, we're adults now. We're still, you know, it's nothing like how it used to be in high school. We're cool. We're friends, you know?
Yeah.
But you don't forget about those things either. You know what I'm saying? And even though we're all mature and adults now, and, you know, I don't forget about what they used to say or how they used to treat me, you know? So, and I'm not holding that against them, but I can't, like, sit here and say, like, oh, those are my ride or dies, you know what I'm saying? Oh, those are my dudes, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, they're still my friends. They'll always be my friends. You know, we've had a lot of experiences together. But like I said, the difference is, like, I have a friend that was never like that towards me, even though he was part of the group. And, like, him and I have been friends since kindergarten. Like, you see, like, where the different respect can hold. Like, you know, like, that's someone who I know has genuinely been true. Didn't have to say those things about me to feel better, you know what I'm saying? Or say those things to get a rise out of me, or just because, like, I will say this, like, I feel like they would say that to me too, just to get a laugh out of, like, people, you know what I'm saying? Like, just to be funny, you know? But I do look at it, I'm like, why is it always Brandon? Like, why can't it be like, if it was everyone, then that's just how some friend groups, man, give each other so much crap. Like, that's just how it is, you know what I'm saying? But, like, when it's specifically kind of pointed towards, like, one or two people, like, I'm like, why? Like, why does it always have to be me? Like, what did I do for you to feel like you have to say that? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like, again, I love those guys still. Like, you know, I think, like, you know, as we've grown up and been adults, I've hung out with them still, you know, quite a bit from time to time, and it's nothing like that now. You know, I can say, like, we're adults, we're cool. You know, I don't get that treatment that I used to. But yeah, no, like, I can definitely sit here and say, like, even though I would still try to see the best, like, kind of like what you're saying, I never forget about that stuff either, you know? So, like, you know, that one friend compared to, like, the rest of them, like, you know, they're still
that one friend, I feel like it wouldn't be bad to name him just because you're talking about Brendan, right?
Brendan, yeah.
Yeah, Brendan, yeah. He's cool as fuck.
Dude, Brendan's my dude, bro. That guy is, him and I, we've known each other since kindergarten, but, like, we became, like, best friends in, like, third grade. And that's, like, dude, like, as I've gotten to obviously know you and our friend groups and, like, things like that, like, I consider, like, you know, just a few guys like you, Brendan, and, you know, our friend Ricky, things like that. Like, there's just a few guys that, like, kind of, like, yes, you're always going to have friends, you know, but, like, when you can reach a different level of friendship as far as just talking, you guys accept each other for who you are, you guys can joke around, you guys, like, you know, that's good. Like, you know, I can say I only have a few friends like that, and Brendan's definitely one of those guys. Yeah, man, shout out Brendan. Brendan's such a dope dude.
Yeah, because Brendan, I feel like, was not only one of the guys that would refuse to make fun of people in that way, like, I feel like he was also one of the guys that would almost defend you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You remember Dave?
Yeah, I remember.
Dude, so, like, I don't talk to Dave much, and I don't know if he'll ever watch this, but, like, Dave, for some reason, was one of those guys that he would defend you, bro. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody was like talking, like, you know, making fun of you or whatever, or like you know, even, let's say, bullying, and I didn't experience a whole bunch of that, but freshman year, I don't know if you remember when Doyle was the coach, and like, I made varsity my freshman year in basketball, and the guys.
There's always gonna be people talking, dude. There's always gonna be people talking. Like, I get what you mean. Now I know exactly. I know who those people were too, but we don't have to name them. But yeah, bro, like, no, I get exactly what you mean. Yeah,
Dave would, like, literally be like, you know, like. If he saw them throwing that shade at me or whatever, he would just hop right in and be like, And, like, I didn't even know him that well. That was the crazy thing. It's like, me and Dave weren't like super duper close, but he was one of those dudes that would just, like, and some people have that personality, you know what I mean? Where they'll just, like, and I feel like you were kind of like that as well, man. Where, like, you have that personality where you didn't like somebody getting picked on relentlessly or anything like that, you know?
No, not at all, bro.
And I was a similar way in high school, but I was, for some reason, I didn't have the strength that Dave and Brendan did, for example. Like, I did not like seeing people get picked on. I did not like seeing people get bullied, but there was a weakness inside of me that for some reason could not stand up to the social group that was making fun of the people, you know? And I remember there was even this time, one of our friends, I don't want to name his name right now, but yeah, he was just making fun of this other kid, and I was close friends with this guy, and he was making fun of this other kid, and for some reason I was just like angry about it, just like, dude, like just shut up, but for some reason I couldn't tell him just shut up,
Yeah.
Like I was better at defending myself than I was at other people at that time, and that's something that like I look back on with a little bit of shame. I'm not gonna lie, is because like I wish I could have defended other people better, especially whenever I saw that. And in going back to that conversation we had, like I remember it like it was yesterday, bro. It was the remember the treasure hunt thing.
That's what we did, bro.
It was like the treasure hunt thing.
I was all cut up that day,
dude. Yes. So this was a cool thing. Shout out to my friend Danny. Shout out to my friend Rick. They kind of like and my friend Adolfo. They all started this whole treasure hunt thing for our school, and not only our school, but the Las Vegas High School, the Valencia High School, the Glen High School. It was like a whole group thing where we wrote out this list. It was one day at lunch. We were just writing out things on this list that were like give you points, basically.
Yeah.
And you had to go do these things or find these things if you wanted to get points. Some of them were crazy, like. Some of them were like really simple things, that you get like 50 points for or something like that. Like something simple like saying hi to a stranger or something.
Yeah,
like that.
or like yelling and it was just like funny things. Bro.
Yeah, funny things. Some
I did the one.
Crazy.
I did the one where you jumped out of the car.
Yeah, exactly. So that was like 300 points or something like that to jump out of a car, jump out of a moving vehicle, and the whole stipulation was that it had to be going over 20 miles per hour or something like that.
I think it was like 15, but still, bro. And see, like you think about it, like 15's not like, and this is in my mind, I'm still young. Obviously, we're all still young. We're just kids, bro. So like 15, I'm like, that's nothing, bro. I'm like, I can do that. I'll jump. And like
I also jumped out of the car.
You would want it like so me like I hopped out like this. I didn't hop out like backwards or like to my side. I just hopped out like, oh, I'm gonna land.
Same.
Dude, completely just my whole right side was toast, bro. Everyone like I showed people that video to this day, and they look at me. They're like, "What is wrong with you? You could have died." I'm like.
Like at the time, I guess for some reason in my mind, I didn't think about the whole like the physics, I didn't think about physics. I didn't think about the laws of inertia. I didn't think about the momentum. And as I jump out of the car, it's probably only going like 15 miles per hour, like you said. But when you jump out of a car that's going 15 miles per hour, you're not ready to run 15 miles per hour.
Exactly, bro.
So you just like, I don't know about you, but I hit the floor and instantly just like.
Oh yeah, no, literally like, bro. It's actually funny to see the video because I swear when I jump, it looks like my arm, like my right arm, just like completely bends back, like if I like broke it or something. And I really like, honestly, I was scraped up like crazy. I didn't break anything, but I was completely scraped up. But you look at it, and I look at it like to this day, I'm like, dang, that looks a lot worse than what it really was. Like, I look at that video, it looks like my whole arm like completely just like bent back, and my whole butt like it almost looks like I hit my head, to be honest, which I didn't, thank God. But yeah, man, fun times.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so jumping out of the moving car was one for like 300 points. There was like jumping on a cow was like 400 points or something like that.
Wasn't there something like going to like Isotopes Park or something?
Oh like yeah. I think my buddy tried that. Sneaking into Isotopes Park and running around the bases was like for like 400
I think
points
that was like the highest one or something like that. Yeah.
And one of the ones that was also one of the highest ones, and we purposely put it as one of the highest ones because like I had access to these, was eating a whole Carolina Reaper pepper.
Dude, and, I remember that.
Well, actually, I think it was supposed to be taking a bite out of Carolina Reaper pepper. But so like my family grew hot chili peppers, and Carolina Reapers were one of them. And we put that in there for a lot of points because we knew that like I would have access to it, so maybe it would give us an edge, sort of thing. So one of the guys in my group of people, because we sectioned it out by groups, and each group they added up the points of the group, and at the end, whoever won got a little prize.
And you had to take a video for like proof. I remember that, right? Like you had to record
videos
these things, to show. Yeah.
So the friend that was in our group. Awesome guy. Name's Mike.
Funny guy.
Super funny, awesome guy. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but hopefully I will get to soon. Amazing guy. He instead of taking a bite of the Carolina Reaper, he eats the whole Carolina Reaper. And his stomach was just wrecked. Like he was like,
I just remember the beginning of the video. Like, so like he ate it. You guys like, bro, like what are you doing? And this guy's just like like he's like I got that. And then you see the second part of the video, bro. This guy's just dying. I'm like, oh no. 'Cause I remember like you guys, like your group was the one who kind of like organized everything, and I remember we met somewhere like in Isleta. And then, like, everyone's just waiting for you guys.
Yes. And then the police, like, they let the police, like,
yeah,
made us go to the
they made everyone leave, bro.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was so funny. And, like, this is all leading up to the whole conversation that me and B had, because that kid that ate the Carolina Reaper pepper, his stomach was so messed up that he just was feeling, like, completely sick for, like, whole hours afterwards. And he tried drinking some milk. It didn't really help much. And at one point, he was just like, I need something in my stomach other than this chili pepper. Because he was like, we're all starving, you know. We're like high schoolers. We'd go a long time without eating. And then I was like, okay, I'll go grab you something from McDonald's. And I was like, Brandon, you want to come with me?
That was how it happened. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah. I knew we were in a car, so I just like
It was in that little Saturn that I had, remember?
Yes.
Yeah. And I just remember for some reason, like, I just like I decided to like just I guess get deep with you in that moment and just ask you. And I can't remember exactly what you said at the time. Even I don't like. I remember all of it so well, except for what you said.
Like what
exactly.
I said. I can't sit here and say I remember what I said either. To be honest. But I do remember that. For some reason, I have always remembered that conversation. I don't remember now. I remember why you and I were in the car. Because I remember you bringing that up, and I'm like, I do remember you and I just like, because we had known each other, but I can't like you and I can probably both say like we weren't friends like that yet. Like we had known each other, we played sports together, things like that, but we weren't like on that level of friendship. And then I remember that night being like the first time like where you and I like really just talked like person to person, like just one on one, like got to know like more things, you know. So I do remember that, and now I remember the reason. I can't remember the reason why you and I were in the car together, as far as like driving to Danny's. But now I remember it was because Mike. Yeah, and then I ended up going with you. Oh, dude, that's some funny things, bro.
Yeah, crazy memories, dude. Yeah, I don't know why that. Even in that moment back then, whenever I asked you, I think I asked you sort of the same way I asked you right now. Like, like just like, you know, people give you a lot of shit sometimes, and like why is it that like how do you take it with such love all the time? That's what and for some reason it like I don't know if you noticed earlier, but it evokes emotion within me, man. Like I don't know what it is. It's like it's one of those things about you that like genuinely I respect so much, man. Like I can't even put it into words how much I respect it. But it comes down to that same thing that you were talking about, where it's like if I really needed something, I know I could ask you, and I know I could ask anybody in your family. It's like it's one of those weird things about your family that is just. And at first, I didn't know your family as well. Like back in 2020, when we first started hanging out a lot, like me and you got close, but I didn't really know your family like that yet.
Yeah.
And then you started to invite me over for these different gatherings that you'd be having, and now it's like your brother Wedo, for example. Like I feel like I could ask Wedo, and he would like just be there for me. You know what I mean?
Dude, in a heartbeat. And
it's like one of those strange things where I feel like even if I wasn't a good guy, you guys would still be there for me for some reason. You know what I mean? Yeah. And yeah, that's just there's something about that where like the love for people in general, the love for connection, the love for being there for people that need it. It's like that's something I see within your family and within you.
Yeah.
Your father, your mother as well. Like they take foster kids in. It's like it's just like something about helping the people that actually need help. It's just I don't even know how to articulate it really, and I don't know exactly even where I'm going with this, but it's just something that I respect about you guys so much.
And I appreciate that. No, for real. Like I can honestly say too, like when it comes to like the fostering thing, you know, funny story. Like again, they started doing that. So my dad had my dad has his degree in social work, things like that. So he's a therapist, helped out kids, things like that. He got a serious like back pelvic injury like back in like 2013, 2014 that didn't allow him to work in like offices and like just go out and like, you know, so unfortunately he had to stop doing that. And he was concerned at the time of like, what are we going to do? Like, you know, like I need a job. So with his degree, he decided to go into the foster care business. And with his degree, so there's this thing, I'm not sure like how many people know this, but when it comes to foster care, there's foster care, right? And then there's this thing called treatment foster care, where, you know, you just kind of help out the kids who, you know, have more mental issues, unfortunately, or just going through a lot more. And I will say, like, you know, I was at a weird point in my life, you know, going through high school, puberty, things like this, kind of cared about like my social image, things like that. And I looked at it and I was like, I don't want this to be known. Like, and I hate this about myself. Like that, like, you know how you said earlier, like there's some things like where you felt shame. I can say like to this day, I feel shame about that. Like it was almost like my dad had a job and he was helping out kids, but I didn't want that to be known to the public, if that makes sense. I'm like, people are going to look at me as like this snotty, rich kid who just like, and I don't know why I had that. Like, I really had that mentality back in the day. And I was like 15 up until like 17. And I had that mentality and I hate it to this day. Like, because like, I'm very supportive of my parents who do, like, they still do it to this day, you know? So, and that's something that like, you know, my dad has been, you know, I even hear it from like some of my other friends, like, you know, parents, and I even tell them this, like, I don't know how you guys do it. Cause like people think, oh, foster care, you just bring in kids, this and that. But like, I can't honestly say like, even like, you know, me being an adult now, I don't know if I could just watch like a kid, even though like it sucks, like some of their circumstances. I don't know if I could just have a kid in my home like that. That's not even mine, or that I technically don't really have any relation to. But my parents have been doing it for, gosh, now going on 10, 11 years. And I still hear it from other people. They're like, I don't know how your parents do it, man. And I tell them, I'm like, I don't know how they do it either, to be honest. I'm like, it takes like, you know, some special people to do that. So I'm like, now that I'm obviously, you know, more grown up, mature, like, gosh, I tell my dad, I'm like, man, I'm like, he calls it like, you know, because, you know, I don't get into like anything like, you know, as far as religious, but he calls it God's work. And I'm like, you know what, like, that's a good way of looking at it. Like, you're doing a great thing, like, you know. And I can honestly say, like, yeah, I was a high schooler, but I still feel shame to this day where I'm like, why didn't I want that to be known? Like, they're helping out kids, you know. I guess it was just more in my mindset of, I'm like, like, people are going to look at me and be like, oh, like, they're able to do that. He's just this spoiled kid and, like, things like that. And I'm like, no, I'm like, I look at it now and I'm like, it's not even anything like that. We're helping out kids. My dad's able to do that. He has his degree and he's hurt. He's not able to sit in an office. So why wouldn't he do that? You know? So I think it's just like, as time goes on, and to kind of go back to like what you said, man, as well, like with the family thing, like I won't bring up names, for this one, but like, you know, the music thing that I was doing there for a while.
Yeah.
The guy that I was doing with him and I became really, really, like, really close friends, kind of like in the category where I put you, Brendan, like things like that. Hanging out all the time, all this stuff. I don't know exactly what happened with him, but he just decided to kind of one day just stop talking to us, you know, never kind of gave us an explanation. Like I said, I wish him the best. I don't have any ill will towards him or anything like that. Because to kind of go back to your point, even if to this day I haven't talked to him in like 6 months, but if he were to reach out right now and said he needs help with this, even regardless of all the stuff, and like I may feel a little hurt about it, or I don't want, like, you know, because I can honestly say, like, yeah, I'm still human. Like, totally. that crap hurt me, bro. I was like, dang, like, screw this guy. Like, in my head, I'm like, screw this guy. Like, what did I do? Like, I don't open up to like a whole lot of people, and he was one dude. Like, yeah, I've opened up to you and, like, you know, just a few selective people, but he was one of those people. And then all of a sudden, just nothing. And so I kind of felt like betrayed in that sense of like, dang, like I really opened up to this guy, like just as a brother, you know, and then all of a sudden just gone, you know. And I have lost respect in that aspect, but that doesn't mean I still don't care for the guy. Like, if he were to hit me up right now, like in a dire situation, Brandon, I need your help, I'm gonna be there, you know. Like, it's just kind of like, I guess it's just like, I can give a lot of props to both of my parents, but my mom's, she has like the biggest heart in the world. Like, people will rely on her for everything. And I guess like, and I'm not going to say everything, but I see it, like, you know, not like talking about anyone, but like I've seen it within my outer family. Like, if there's a situation going on, they're hitting up my mom right away. Tamara, what do we do? Mom, like, you know, what do we do? Like, you know, they've always just, I've seen my mom overran a lot, just in the sense of like, exhausted because she's doing so much for other people. But that's just who she is. Like, you know, like me growing up, I would even tell her sometimes, I'd see it, I'm like, Mom, you can't let everyone, like, you know, you gotta you got to take a break. Like, you can't be letting all these people run over you. I'm not just talking about family. I'm just talking about people in general, just, because that's just who my mom was. And I guess I was kind of a hypocrite because I was like that for the longest time too. I started like realizing, I'm like, you know what, even if these people did me wrong, or if I'm being used by someone, but if I really care about them, I'm gonna help you out. Like, I see the good in you, I see the best in you, and I want to help you out. So I think like that kind of goes back to like one of our first topics, just kind of like how I was raised, like, and it's not to like put down anyone else, but it's just kind of like a Hispanic household, man. Like, that's just what we do, regardless if you've done us dirty, anything like that. Like, I can honestly wholeheartedly say I don't think anything would ever, happen between us where we're like, what the heck, like screw Adam or something. But I swear, like, even if you and I fell out and then one day you're like, bro, B, I need you, I'm gonna be there, bro. It's just kind of like how I was raised, and kind of like, I can give props to my family about that. And that kind of like goes whole hard circle of like everything we've talked about. Like, yes, like, I love my family to death, and I don't consider that they've held me back, because like I owe my family so much more than anything that I can ever give them now, but it's just kind of how I was raised, like, and I'm sure you can attest to that, like on your dad's side, he's just kind of like what you see. And then, so yeah, like, even if I were again to leave in the future, I'll be like, dang, like, I miss my family. That's who I've grown up with. That's who I'm so used to. So, but I think it all just kind of ties into like just that whole dynamic of, it's just, Weddle too, Weddle's my brother. For those of y'all don't, he's 11 years older than me, so I think that's what's even been a perk for me is I have two brothers that are 11 and 9 years older, and they'll be the first ones to say like, I messed up doing this, messed up doing that, things like that, so I can honestly, like, I can say like I've been blessed and lucky to have, like, I can see everyone else's like goodness, like what they've done good, but I can also see their mistakes. And then I guess that's how I processed a lot of my life growing up, because I was always the youngest, so I would see a lot of the good that everyone would do, and like I would want to apply that to my life, and then I'd see a lot of the like that wasn't like, that's not how I want to do it, so yeah. I can honestly say like that was a great like thing for me, like, and even though I was like the youngest, I can like give props to my brothers. They never made me feel like left out or like, this and that. Like, they've always been like that. So that's one thing I can honestly say in the blessed side of it. I'm like, I've been able to learn a lot just because like I was younger. And that kind of sounds weird, but like,
no, that does make sense though. You kind of like can vicariously learn through them almost. Like,
yeah.
Just by like
exactly.
Observing their mistakes and their things that they did right.
Yeah.
And that's actually something that I appreciate about Weddle already, is that like he's told me like, like I consider you a little brother now, kind of thing.
Yeah. And
it's like, it's cool to me because I'm like whoa, like I've never had an older brother like that, like I have an older sister and I really appreciate her. I don't talk to her as much as I probably should, but like Weddle, for example, I talk to him quite a bit now, and it's I tell him sometimes, I'm like, you're like the older brother that I never had in a way.
Yeah, bro.
And it is interesting where it's like, because like Weddle, like there's a lot of things I look up to about Weddle, and one of the things that stands out first and foremost about him is the family aspect.
Oh yeah.
And I think you can probably relate to this in a way, just because we both consider family so important.
Mm-hmm.
And I could imagine that you eventually want to have your own family, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So like whenever I see Weddle, I'm just like, dang, like he's doing it, man. Like he's got like the family going. He's got like, and it's like they seem like a good, healthy, happy family, And he's a great dad, like a really great dad. And yeah, just I definitely look up to Weddle in that aspect.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, no, I see it in both of my brothers because like both of my brothers had kids when they were young. Like they each. I've been an uncle since I was 9 years old. So like, it's funny, like people use, like, as we're getting older, they use that term unk. I'm like, I've literally been unk since I've been a little kid, bro.
I'm gonna start calling you unk.
Bro, for real, Uncle D, bro. But no, like, it is like, and I can like wholeheartedly say that about Weddle and Andrew too. I know you haven't been like, I know you've met Andrew, not been able to talk to him as much, but like, Andrew will be the first one to tell you, like, he's done, a lot of things in his life that he's probably not proud of, and we all have, and they both, and like, because they've had stories of where, they didn't do the right things in high school, and they messed up and they, got in trouble and like all this stuff. But one thing like I can respect about both of them is even though they did all those things, like, look at them now, like, yeah, you have hardships, who doesn't, within a family, but they both have wives, they both have kids, they all, yeah, there's tough things, but like, they're all generally, we all get together, we're all happy, like things like that. And that's something that's really cool to see. Like, I look up to them in that aspect, in the sense of, obviously I was younger, but I still, like, I knew what was going on, in the sense of them getting in trouble, them, having a hard time, them having kids younger, and you've seen them struggle. Like, being a young dad is not easy. And then especially like, if you're not with that person who you had the child with, makes it even harder. And I've seen, seen one of them go through it. I've seen my other brother, go through, like, kind of a blended family where she had a couple kids, and then, but they were able to make it work, like, and you see them, and I'm like, wow, like, you know what, you guys have, like, even though you may have had a hard time, like, when it all first started, or even you may have not started the way you wanted to, and would you have done things differently? Probably. But, like, look at you guys now. Like, you guys all have homes, you have kids, like, you have wives, everything's going, like, yeah, obviously stuff happens in life, but, like, generally, like, you can see them, like, yeah, I'm proud of them, you know what I'm saying? One thing I will say is, like, yeah, I'm 26, and, like, I don't have a girlfriend, nothing like that. One day I do eventually, like, would like to have a family. One of the things I've learned from them, though, is I did see them have kids young. My mom had my brothers at 16 and 18. So, my family, like, all of them have told me, like, yes, we want you to have kids, but, like, there's no rush for it. There's no rush to, and I've been able to, like, see that, like, even though I'm 26, it's weird. Sometimes, like, I look back at, like, memories, and I'm like, dang, Weddle was 25 right there. I'm older than what he was right there. Like, I don't even consider, like, like, I've always considered Weddle just so much older than me, but I'm like, I wasn't even, like, Weddle has kids right here, everything like that. Me, I'm like, bowling today, let's go. Dude, like, you know what I'm saying, bro? Like, it's weird, so, but, like, I will say, like, it's cool, like, I'm not, like, I don't regret it, like, like, eventually, yes, I do want that, but I've been able to, like, learn, like, what's the rush, like, to do, like, right now, like, yeah, I do the bowling, I do all that other stuff, so it's cool to, like, have those freedoms, because I'm pretty sure anyone who has a kid can attest to this, like, they're a blessing, but, like, when you have a kid, everything changes in the sense of your responsibilities, what you have to do, things like that. So, and I think I'll be ready for that one day for sure. I'm not saying that, even, like, if it were to happen right now, I'd be like, okay, like, I got to get my stuff together. But it is cool right now to, like, kind of have, like, those freedoms, in the sense of, oh, I have bowling today, I can go bowling. Oh, my friends want to go hang out, let's go do this, that's cool. Like, so I do like that aspect of my life. Everyone's different. People don't have their first kids till they're, like, 30, and some people have them when they're 18, 19. There's no time schedule for when it happens, but, like, I will say, like, for me personally, I've liked to, like, I've learned from that, in the sense of, I don't have to rush for that, like, do I want it to happen eventually? Of course, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, I need to have a kid right now, I'm 26, what the heck, like, like, because I see, like, some kids at, like, 17, 18 having kids, I'm like, dang, like, aren't you still a kid? Like, but it happens, life happens, and some people have them earlier, some people have them later, so it's just a cycle of life, I guess.
No, I get you there. And I honestly, sometimes I think to myself, like, man, like, same thing sort of thing, like, where I'm 26, I'm concerned about, what time I'm going to go to the gym, what, like, like, what, the food I'm going to be
what am I going to eat today?
Like, I still live with my dad. Sometimes it feels like, man, I'm behind, like, definitely behind. And in some ways I probably am, I'm not going to be even front about that. Like, there's a lot of areas of my life that I probably should be more mature about and should be more developed on. But Wedo actually kind of taught me a little bit about that recently. Is sometimes, like, I was talking to him whenever I went to watch JJ.
Dude, I was still so shocked about that. Like, where they were like, yeah, Adam came to the games. I was like, that's dope. Like, I'm glad y'all invited him, but I didn't even know, like, this happened. I think I had bowling or something like that. So, like, I wasn't at the game. I was half
expecting to show up with you there, but I was like, whoa, like, this is the guy.
Yeah, but no, that's just Wedo, man. Like, when you win him over, like, he's your family to him, Yeah.
So. Yeah, so when I was at the games watching his children play some softball, and it's like one of those things where, like, he'll ask me how I'm doing, and one thing I've been trying to do lately, and this is, like, it's very difficult for me, but I've just been trying to tell the truth a lot more, like, just, like, brutal, honest truth. Like, And by part of me telling the truth is by me being completely honest about the way like I see things, you know, like saying, like not omitting things, you know, like sometimes people ask you how you're doing and you just be like, I'm doing
like
good,
I'm okay,
bro.
kind
You
of
know?
downplay it.
Yeah, exactly. But then sometimes when they ask you how you're doing, you're like really like you do have something you're feeling inside, and you don't actually say it. You know,
Yeah.
it's like Wedo, I respect him a lot, and same thing with you. Like you guys ask me how I'm gonna do it, how I'm doing. I'm gonna try my best to actually tell you guys how I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And like that day, Wedo, like he kind of like looked at me like I don't know if it was some vibe I was giving off or what, but like Wedo looked at me and he was like, you know, like how you been though, like he's like asked it in like a different way, you know,
like he kind of knew something was like up, like yeah.
And like I told him straight up, I was like, man, like you know, like I feel like I'm going through a personality transformation here, sort of thing. But I feel like I'm just so far behind. Like, and like what I really, really want in life is like to have a relationship and to have children. You know, like I don't know why that's always been a goal for me. Like ever since I was young, like even, and I think it's probably because of that family cultural thing. You know?
Yeah, you see it, you've been around it, and yeah, no, I get that.
And like just ever since I was young, I just wanted to have a happy, healthy marriage and you know, like, kids. You know, like, I don't know what it is. And I told him about that, and I was just like, dude, like you know, like I feel like I'm just like you know, I feel like they're so far away from being able to do that yet. You know, like I can barely take care of myself. Like, how am I supposed to take care of a family? Like, and I told him that, and he basically told me that like look, like kind of like you were saying, like I had kids when I was younger, and I consider myself a good dad because he is a good dad, and he should consider himself a good dad. And he told me that he has to sacrifice a lot to do that. You know, like he has to sacrifice a lot of his freedoms. He has to sacrifice a lot of his, like some of the things that, you know, you may enjoy in life. Like for example, me and you get to have these luxuries of enjoying these like things like bowling and then powerlifting and like, he had to sacrifice a lot of those things. And he told me that like, listen, like I sacrifice these things, but that doesn't mean you have to just make it happen right now. Like you got to enjoy the things you have right now. Be grateful for the things you have right now, and that those other things will come in time. You know, like you'll. He told me like you will eventually grow up to be a good father and stuff like that, and to grow up and it's like that. That's kind of powerful to have somebody that's older like that you can look up to and have them say something like that to you. You know, and this kind of brings me to this concept I wanted to ask you too. So like. A lot of people in the world, they'll have children when they're young, like especially men. Like they'll have children when they're young, and they don't want to sacrifice all those things. You know what I mean? Like they don't want to sacrifice the freedoms. They don't want to sacrifice have to work all the time, but yet they still had the kid.
They still had
and then they just abandoned the kid. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of like people out there in the world that don't have fathers because the fathers like they're not
ready for the responsibility.
Exactly. Yeah, they were not willing to bear the responsibility that it took. Like, do you think that it had something to do with like the family culture in your family? That like, why is it that Wedo and Andrew both were able to bear that weight, like even though they had the children at that age?
Exactly. So not to like get too much into their personal lives, but I don't know if you know this. My dad is not their biological father, so that kind of was an aspect that went into their life when it first happened. So I think first of all, they don't want to be like that. How, you know, what happened? Obviously, you know, my dad took them in when they were very young, you know, kids, babies. So, you know, they look at my dad as their dad, you know, but I think any person, you know, I can't speak for these people, but like any person who biological parent that left them, even if they obtained a parent and able to call a mom or a dad, they're always going to wonder like, well, why? Like, you know, or why did this happen? Or why did that happen? Why wasn't I good enough for them? Or why weren't they ready for me? You know, I feel like anyone's going to have that question. Again, I can't speak for those people, but like definitely the family dynamic goes into it. Like my mom and my dad raised us to be, it's funny. So like to kind of piggyback off of that, like with the foster care thing, my parents just almost a year ago now adopted, I consider them my sisters, two girls that we had. One of them's 15, one of them's 12. It's definitely an adjustment for my mom because my mom has always had boys. And so it's kind of like an inner thing that like we're seeing like, wow, it's like just, it's crazy because like, you know, us being boys, we were mama's boys. I won't even like deny that. Like we were all mama's boys. something goes wrong, like we go to mom, because dad was a hard ass. Dad's tough. Like my dad was strict, like with us growing up. He was definitely tough on us, and I would always like look back. I'm like, dang, like why is my dad so tough on me? Like why is he like this? And like, he was always like, he was a tough individual to like, and I told him this straight up. I'm like, you were tough to deal with, like when I was younger. And honestly, like I can wholeheartedly say, like it was hard. Like I loved you, yes, because you were my dad, but like it would be hard to like, I would be like, I don't want to see my dad, or like I don't want to, like, he's just gonna be tough on me, and like why is he being so tough on me? And like I tell him now, I'm like, I respect you so much for that. I'm like, just because like I was able to grow up in a, like, it's just taught me to be more of a man, like, the do's, the don'ts, like, unfortunately, we see some people, even some of our friends who have just gone down paths of, hanging out with the wrong crowd, or, things go wrong and things like that. So like, I look at it and I tell him, I'm like, dang, like I was blessed to have you as my dad, because even though you were such a hard ass growing up, like I know why you were such a hard ass. Like I know why you gave me you were just so tough on me, because you were teaching me how to become a man. And like, this world is not an easy world to live in. The world is cruel, and you gotta, like, obviously, I think what people forget too is, too many people, not everyone, but like kind of like how you were saying, like it's hard to open, like especially as guys, like it's hard to open up with your emotions, like
Totally.
like, because one thing I can say I learned from my dad is, growing up, he wasn't an emotional guy whatsoever. Like, he's very stern, kind of hard. So like I felt like I had to grow up like that, and then I saw my dad in, my dad says it to this day, he's like, don't take too long to learn all the things that I learned. This is why I was so hard on you, because I'm trying to teach you. He's like, because he'll be the first one to admit, he's done some things in his life that he's not happy about or proud about, or wish that he could have done better. You know what I'm saying? And, he fought a lot of demons, and he just told me, he's like, you know what? He's like, I've learned, to love my life for the last, 10 plus years, but it took me 40 some years to really come to terms with that. He's like, I don't want you to wait that long to, develop in your life. He's like, yes, you're always going to go through stuff, but he's like, I was so hard on you because I want to see the best version of you and become a man, and not have to, I wouldn't say struggle, but, just wants to see me develop, grow, eventually have a family, things like that. But not to get off topic, about like, Weddle and them, but like, I can wholeheartedly say, I think like they can say the same thing about my dad, because honestly, I was younger, and maybe it's because it was both of them. I don't want to bring up, because they were, I was my dad's biological son, and they weren't, because my dad loves all of us. It's always been we're all his kids. We're not like that in the sense of, oh, well, they're because I feel like that happens too often in families. Like the stepchild kind of gets left behind, or like, or maybe not treated the same. And, my dad was harder on the boys, growing up, from what I heard. But I think because it was both of them, and I love them. They'll probably see this, but they messed around too much in high school, in the sense of getting in trouble, all that stuff. But, so I think Weddle and Andrew have both seen that, and I don't think they wanted to be a version of what they obviously were born into from their biological dad. And they wanted to really, I just see it in Weddle, especially like in the sense of, Weddle was, he met him and his wife have been long friends since like they were elementary school, and then they just ended up finding each other. But like, once I saw Weddle find that, like all of a sudden, like I just saw like a difference in him, like, because Weddle was, I can't speak for him, but like the way that you were feeling, I think Weddle at one point felt like that at one point in the time, like where he feels behind, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what am I, so I think like once he finally got that, I think he did everything in his power to make sure he doesn't lose it. Because I think that's ultimately, I can't speak for everyone else, but I'm kind of like you. Eventually, at some point, I want to have a family. I want to have a wife. I want to have kids. It's just something I've grown up into. Like, my 26 years of life, I've had one girlfriend to show for and bring my family, like bring her to my family events, all this stuff. Other than that, I'm always just bringing my friends and like things like that. And sometimes people make comments like, when are you going to get a girlfriend? Or like, when are you going to have kids? And like things like that. And I will say, like, it has made me feel behind sometimes in that sense. I'm like, dang, like everyone else, has a girlfriend or a wife and everyone else has kids, like I'm just over here inviting my friends, you know, like to events and things like that. So I get what you mean in that aspect of where, dang, I feel behind, but I'm also like, I feel like it's a balance because I'm like, I look at the positive side of it in the sense of, you know what, I still have a lot of freedom in the sense of I can go bowling. I can literally just come here, sit here. Like I don't have to worry about, oh, I have to go to my kids right after this. You know what I'm saying? Like I have time to come sit here. Don't have to worry about it, you know? So, but I think when it comes to them, like just, I can't speak for them, but I think, you know, they've experienced a lot when it came to my dad and like what happened to them as children in the sense of them not really knowing who their biological dad was. I just think, you know, and the way that they were raised, you know, like, yes, my dad raised us tough, but I think we all appreciate that now, you know, like he was just teaching us to be men. And it's funny because now my mom is teaching the girls because now she has girls. So now the girls kind of go more towards my dad of, oh, like, you know, and then my mom's the tough one on them. But my mom's like, you guys don't realize, like, I was your age at one point. And you know, like I said, my mom had my brothers young. She's like, I don't want to see you guys make the same mistakes that I did. And like all this stuff. So it's like funny how the whole circle turns around, like, because my dad was the tough one on the boys, and now that, you know, we have my two sisters, my mom is like the tough one on the girls, and my dad's more of the layback one, because my mom would be like kind of the savior, and I think sometimes we would cause fights between them because, you know, my dad's like, I'm just trying to teach these boys how to be men, like stop belling them out, you know. Yeah. And now it's more of like, oh, they come to my dad kind of feels bad, and my mom's like I'm teaching these like girls how to become women, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's another thing, like in family dynamic, that's why they call it like mama's boy or like daddy's girl or something, you know? Yes. Like it's always like the mom's always going to be tougher on the female, and the dad's always going to be tougher on the guys. Like it's just how it is. Like I feel like just because like I will say, like if I have a girl, I'm probably going to be like more softer towards her, things like that, you know? But if I have a boy, like obviously we've been, you know, we grew up, we've been boys, you know, obviously we're men now, but like, but you're going to be tougher on them when you see things that you don't think that they should be doing, you know? Like, I just think that's just how it works. Me personally, that's just, you see that a lot, you know, like the dads are tougher on the males and the moms are tougher on the females. Cause I just think, you know, we've gone through, like, obviously they've gone through it as a female, and then, you know, the dads have gone through it as a male. So like, that's just how I think it's funny. We talk about that now because I see how soft my dad can be on the girl sometimes. I'm like, what the heck? Like, bro, like, if I did that, you would be on my ass, bro. Like, but then my mom gets on him, you know, and I never see my mom in that light in the sense of having to be really tough, because I will admit my mom, yeah, she was tough on us too. Don't get me wrong. You know, it's not like she just let us get away with stuff, you know, and neither does my dad let the girls get away with things, but they were more like, you know, nurturing, kind of like the sweeter one, like, oh, it's going to be okay, you know, so it's kind of funny to see that work out. But yeah, no, I just think like some of those factors come into effect when you ask like, you know, how they stay being good dads, because unfortunately you do see it in this world. Unfortunately, some people aren't ready. You know, I can say like Andrew was young too. Andrew had a kid at, I think he was 19. He had just turned 19. You know, like Andrew can probably say he probably wasn't wholeheartedly ready, but you know, I just think the way that we were raised, even though it got really tough, like they can probably both say it was tough for them. And Weddle will openly admit that, like, it has not been pretty for him, but like, I just think like they knew what they had to do, and the way that they were raised helped out a lot in that sense. And I think, unfortunately, you know, you can't speak for everyone because everyone's raised different, but you just see some people who maybe who didn't have that luxury of getting raised like that. So maybe that's why they take off, or they're not even ready themselves, and they weren't taught how to be ready or things like that. So I think even though it was tough for Weddle and like Andrew and them, they were taught at least to like deal with, like, you know, learn, like it's going to be tough, but they were at least raised to not just run away, you know. And to be honest, I will let you know this right now, my parents would probably kick their asses if they would have just left, you know. Yeah. If they were just like one of those dads who said bye, like, no, heck no. Like my My mom, she loves her kids, but man, does she love her grandkids. Like those are her babies, bro. So yeah, I don't think I like that just to kind of like make fun of the aspects. So even if they were to try that, my mom would, yeah, that wouldn't fly with my parents. They would be like, you need to step your asses up. The good thing is like they were always in their lives, you know, but like even if they were to try to be like, I can't do this, you have no, that wouldn't. I don't think it would have been allowed by my parents, and they were young at the time. So, but yeah, no, I think different aspects go into that for sure. And I can, yeah, like it is like, you know, I know it's like kind of a touchy subject for a lot of people, but like it is tough to like kind of see that in the sense of people who didn't have that structure, you know, and that's why like I think that's another reason why, like, to kind of go back on like how you said like how I can just see the good, like, you know, even if I'm getting like picked on or the one bashed on, things like that. Sometimes you don't know everything what people are going through, in the sense of I know what I'm going through, I know how I was raised, I know like what I have, but that person may not have that same luxury, or I may not have the same luxury of what they're doing, but everyone's different and everyone's going through something. And sometimes, you know, they may not have a good situation, and if I have to be that punching bag at the moment, even though it sucks, I don't want to be a punching bag. Like I'm gonna be there, you know, like even if someone, you know, in the future, if I become really close with them and, you know, say if they have a tough family dynamic and then we fall off or something, I'm still gonna be there for you, even if maybe we weren't, you know, we couldn't become friends or anything like that, or just something happened. Like everyone goes through something different. So I think that's why I've always had that, how do I say it, that sympathy, because I don't know, I can't sit here and speak for everyone, you know, or what anyone else is going through. So I try to look at it in that light, in the sense of maybe this person's just going through something else, and right now, and it's not just talking about like, you know, high school, just in general, like I've been a punching bag sometimes for some people, and it's just like it happens, you know. I can wholeheartedly say like, unfortunately for some people, like when I was going through a lot, like I used them as, you know, like when I'd get upset, unfortunately I would take it out on them. And it wasn't even towards them, it's just like I'm upset, like, and right now like you're just the person here and I'm unfortunately taking it out on you. We might all be guilty of that at one point, and I have, like, there is some people that I've even apologized to where I'm like, I'm sorry, like I wasn't even mad at you, I was just angry in general, you know, like I was just upset. So I look at it in that light, like maybe sometimes they were just really upset. It's not really me that they have the problem with. They're just angry. And sometimes the nice person, or the person that's just right there, the person that cares for you, we take it out on them the most. I've been guilty of even like, I told my mom, like, I'm sorry. Like when I was younger, like, you know, I think my mom was just always like, are you okay? Like, you know, and I'd be angry. And it's not that I'm even yelling at her, like, cause I'd never like intentionally yell at my mom, but like, I'd be so frustrated and I would just be like yelling, and I'm like, I can't, like, you know, all this and that. And I'm like, and I'm sorry, I'm not. And I'd try to reiterate this where I'm like, I'm not yelling at you. Like, I love you. It's just, I'm just frustrated, like, you know, so I just think like in that sense, that's the way I look at it. And that's why maybe sometimes I give, I don't know how to say it, maybe cut people some slack, or kind of try to look at it in the lens of, oh, F you, you know, like obviously we have feelings and you're going to be like, why does this always happen? But like, I kind of look at it in the sense of this person's probably just going through something. Maybe I'm not even the cause. I not to say it, but like, I know I'm not the cause of it. So, you know, I'm just, if they need to do this to feel better, then do it.
Yeah, no, I definitely get what you mean there, because you're right. Sometimes people do need an outlet to just let it out on people, especially like my little sister was kind of like that for me growing up a lot of the time. Like I definitely would lash out on my little sister sometimes, and yeah, just whenever I was just frustrated with life or frustrated with anything going on in life. And I think it's because of that concept of like you said earlier, like, you know, but I'm still human, and like you still feel it whenever somebody's lashing out on you, or like making fun of you or picking on you, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, one of the things that makes it emotionally, what makes it evoke emotion in me is because it's like one of those things where even at the time when we were in high school, I recognize that like this has to be affecting you somehow. You know what I mean? Like it can't feel good to be made fun of in this way. And I'm not saying that you were like, you know, bullied harshly or anything like that.
No, like people have gone through it a lot worse than what I did, but I get what you mean. Like, because emotionally, sometimes people like an emotional thing can still like,
dude, totally,
more than a physical thing. Like when you're constantly getting like antagonized, it can have an effect on you for sure. Like
you were still one of like the popular kids, I would say. You know what I mean? So like it's not like you like. I'm sure that there were some kids at the school that were like so unpopular that everybody would be picking on them all the time. You know. And I'm not saying you were that by any means, but I did notice that sometimes, even within the friend group, you know, people would just be a little extra harsh. You know what I mean? Like, like you said, you were like the end of the butt end of a lot of jokes. You know, like, and sometimes those jokes were kind of like brutal, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not like I said, like some
they would
people
try to play
words,
it off as a joke, but like the words that were used sometimes could be like you don't. And maybe they just didn't recognize at the time, but that could have a big effect on like someone, you know?
Dude,
like
And when you say like but I'm still human, so it's like I can't just completely not feel anything. You know, you're not a robot. You can't just be like, oh well, they feel this way because it's so. And like it's because of that I think it evokes emotion in me. Is that like somehow you dealt with it with love, despite the fact that it couldn't have felt good by any means.
No.
And whether you believe in any type of religious things or not, but like Jesus in the Bible is kind of like an archetypal man. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things that Jesus did that were like you know, he like took on the weight of the world despite everybody being against him, sort of thing. You know? Yeah. And it's like, I'm not saying that you were Jesus in that moment, but like in a way, you portrayed that sort of like that type of humbleness and like meekness that would like. Where these people would be getting at you like these hurtful jokes and stuff like that, and I even remember you just like sometimes you just like you kind of just laugh it off, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I could tell that deep down you probably felt some type of way about it, but at the same time you dealt with it with love, and that's just like to me that's just like I don't know I respect that so much about you, man. It's just like one of those things that like.
And like I can say another thing, man, maybe that I didn't bring up earlier in the sense of. I will admit, like as a kid, bro, like I was very insecure. Like you know, I obviously got braces, things like that. But like when I was younger, like my teeth were like kind of messed up. I was this short, scrawny kind of kid. Like, you know, like I was very insecure, like just in my body in the sense of, you know, I didn't feel attractive and like things like that, you know. So I think like being a part of that group kind of made me feel better just in the sense of, and I think that was another part of like why I took it at times. I'm like, well, you know what? I still got a good like friend group that hasn't told me to kick rocks, you know, and inside of my body at that time, I don't think I was very confident, you know. Some of the running jokes that they would say is like, bro, do you even eat? Or like, why are you so skinny? Like, are you like, some of the brutal things that were said was like, I'm so skinny that I'm depressed or like that I'm at, and I'm like, you guys don't really, and like, yes, I would kind of laugh it off, but like deep down, I'm like, maybe I am depressed. Like, and you know, I didn't know it at the time, but I think I was, you know, like, again, very insecure kid, very like just wanting to fit in. I think like, you know, with those insecurities, that really made me just kind of take it in the sense of, well, you know what, I still have this friend group, even though if I'm getting made fun of and this and that, at least I can call them my friends, you know. And I was like that when I was younger, you know. So I think that had another big part to play with that I kind of left out earlier, in the sense of like I was a very insecure kid, like growing up, you know. I think like once, you know, obviously as I'm not that tall, you know, I'm like 5'8" on a good day, 5'9", but like, you know, once I got a little taller, once I finally put some weight on me, like, you know, I got my teeth fixed. Like, I'm not saying I'm like, oh, I feel so great about myself right now. Obviously, we all still have our own insecurities, but I feel more comfortable in my skin, you know what I'm saying? Like, where I feel good, like more better about myself. And I think that's why, like, I have that mentality now of the sense of, yes, I have my family and like all my inner circle, but like people who like I don't really know now, and if they have an opinion about me, and would be like, then have your opinion. I don't care. Like, I'm like, I don't owe you anything, you know? So I wish I could have learned that younger, but obviously I just think like at the time when I was, again, like, yes, I was sociable and like, you know, like you said, like, yeah, I did kind of hang out with the popular crowd, you know, but I felt, I did always still feel like an outsider, if that makes sense, just because I felt like my social skills at the time weren't that great. I honestly think, man, like I don't know if you recognize, like in high school, I wasn't as talkative as I am now. Like how, and obviously we became really good friends, you know, so obviously we talk all the time. But like, it wasn't until, honestly, bro, we started working at Planet Fitness, like just talking to people every day, like, and you constantly having to interact. I just think that made me like start learning more social skills. Like, like I feel like at that point in time, like, yes, I was friends with them, but like, I can't say I had the best social skills. Like, sometimes I'd be like, I don't even know what to say, or like, I don't even know, like, I'd be scared to even talk sometimes, because I'm either going to get made fun of, or like, it may just sound like, I want to say like, yes, like I was able to talk to people, but sometimes I felt like I was socially awkward within my own head, because I'm just like, I don't know what to really say, or like, I don't know. And then I feel like, honestly, just us working at Planet Fitness helped with that a lot, so much, like in the sense of me learning how to talk, because now everyone calls me extroverted, which I probably am. Like, I've had like, some people, even my mom, and like, because again, like, I try to stay like, I'm not gloating here, but she's like, you just get along with anyone. She's like, you'll just go talk to anyone, won't you? And I'm just like, yeah, like, I give people benefit of the doubt, like, we're cool, like, I'm just being friendly. Like, me and Ricky always have just friendly conversations. Like, I just like to, like, I'm just a friendly dude, bro. Like, I give people, like, I give anyone I meet the benefit of the doubt until like you do something to where I'm just like, oh, like, I don't like that, then then obviously I'll hold back. But like, I don't know what people are going through, and like, I'm just meeting them. Like, I feel like I can have such like good conversations with anyone, like if I, really start talking with them, so, and that developed way, like, it's been a process, because yeah, like I said, I think Planet Fitness helped out with that, and then it just took off, because I was more of like a, JJ, my little nephew, like my brother and them say like, he's a lot like you. And I was like, the only way where he's different, and I think he's a lot better than me, and why he's going to flourish, is because JJ is so outspoken. JJ will speak his mind. He is not afraid to talk. Whereas me, I was more timid. I was more just kind of reserved, kind of quiet. I didn't really express like how JJ will say how he's feeling. He don't give a damn, like, and I give him so much credit for that, because he's about to be 11, so he's a 10-year-old kid, and I do see a lot of him in me, in the sense of like how I was, and just like, sports wise, just creative mind wise, and like a lot of the things that I see him do, I'm like, dang, I used to do that a lot as a kid. But one thing I definitely wasn't like was very outspoken. I was like, it took me a long time to develop, I guess, how do I say, my voice and confidence, in the sense of I can talk to anyone, in the sense of like, I feel better within my skin, so maybe that's why, like, growing up in high school, I think I took it so much, in the sense of, well, at least I'm in a group, because for one, I was insecure. I just didn't feel great about the way I looked. And then two, sometimes I'm like, you know what? Sometimes I do feel awkward and I don't know what to say, but at least, hey, I'm in this group, so I'm going to just stick with it. I'm going to kind of just take it, So that was, I think, it kind of just dawned on me. So I'm sorry I left it out in the first part, but I think that was another big thing on why I think I took, like, I'm not going to say abuse or anything, but took kind of the criticism from them, just because I was just like, well, at least I'm here, I could just be that awkward kid in the corner where I'm not talking to anyone, and, because I would see, people like that. And honestly, like, I wish I like, to kind of piggyback on what you said earlier, like about Dave and Brendan, I wish I could do the same thing, because I've seen it within other people who obviously, didn't really have any friends, or weren't jocks, or weren't like, they just kind of be loners and sit by themselves. And like, you'd see people kind of like, making fun of them, or like, I never had any of those guts to be like, well, screw you, why are you doing that to him, or something like that. I seen it and I knew it was wrong. And in my head, I'm like, bro, what the fuck? But I never had the guts to be like, stop that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely agree with you when you said earlier, like, it takes some special people. Like, that's why I do give Brendan props, because like, even though like Brendan would see that, and he's great friends with them still, like, they all went to college together and like all that stuff, so, but Brendan's always made it a point to be like, not to leave me out of like the equation or something, or even if something like was going on, like Brendan would never join in, so that's one thing like I can say I have a lot of respect about, because like me and Dave, man, like I don't talk to Dave really at all anymore. Hope you're doing good, Dave, if you see this. In high school, my freshman year of high school, because we graduated the same year, him and I beefed a lot, and it was during like it was our first time playing basketball together, and him and I were just like not seeing eye to eye, like him and I were having like, and Dave was a really good player, man. Like, this was my first time on a team, and Dave's been playing for a while, and Dave's really good. Because fun fact, I got cut in middle school both years, 7th and 8th grade, from basketball. So like this is my first year actually playing on a high school, like just on a team in general, like for school sports and stuff like that. So but then like as I got to know Dave more, and like as we were like juniors and like things like that, like I also seen that like that defensive thing in Dave, where like what, even though like he stood up for people, like even I don't know if you remember what was it, because we were juniors at the time, and Andres, he was also like in your situation where he made varsity, and I think a lot of people didn't like that, but like I saw like people like Dave, and like even like with like me, I'm like, no, good for him, like that's dope, like what the heck, like freshman is varsity, that's sick, and some people may have not been happy about that. Same with your situation, but like I'm glad that like Dave was like able to help out in that situation, because I feel like he's just always been like that type of guy, So shout out to Dave for sure. Dave's a good guy.
Yeah, I definitely appreciated him that year, at least when I was a freshman, like on the varsity team, just because like he was one of those things too where like I was definitely insecure too. I mean, I think a lot of high schoolers are,
Yeah.
I was insecure about like the making varsity thing. Like I felt like I had athletic ability and things like that, but also the social aspect of it was really rough on me.
It's hard, like especially like I feel like for any freshman coming in, and like you're that varsity guy, and like you're dealing with a bunch of mainly seniors and juniors who are, I don't want to like bash on them, but they're like, this is my team, or like this is I'm the older guy, like I need to show you what you need to do, or like something like that.
And like in hindsight, I wish I could have been like like F them, I'm just gonna be the best I could be on this team kind of thing. But the reality is more than being on varsity, I wanted to be accepted by the peers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that was even more of a concern for me at the time. Like I didn't really even care that much about being on the varsity team by any means. I just wanted to be accepted by those guys that were on the varsity team. Like that was the bigger thing for me. So like in hindsight, sometimes like back then at the time, I used to think to myself like, man, I almost wish I didn't make varsity just so I could have been on C team or JV, and then they would have been cooler with me. They would have accepted me better. But then in hindsight, I kind of wish I would have been like, like screw these guys. Like I should have just balled out, like tried my best. Because there was a lot of things where I was like, like every day at practice, I would not go as hard as I could because I was not wanting to invoke some sort of negative energy from the other people, like some of the guys that were seniors and juniors at the time, I wouldn't want to piss them off. So I would just be trying to be playing as timid as possible, or, just playing defense, not trying to shoot, you know what I mean? Because I wouldn't want somebody to make fun of me for missing or something like that. And it was one of those things where like I feel like I might have even gotten better at basketball if I would have started on C team or JV, just because I wouldn't have had that.
And I don't know if you know about this, because I don't think I've ever really brought it up. So my dad was actually one of the coaches for my freshman year of high school. So I think that's where a lot of it started, because I finally made the team, but I was one of the, I was the coach, or the coach's son, you know what I'm saying? So that's where it all kind of started my freshman year. I know for a fact that my freshman year I was not liked whatsoever, just because my dad's like, one of the coaches, and he's, so, because I remember we had like a game against a smaller school, so it was like just JV and varsity playing, and they brought up me and a couple of the other freshmen, and gosh, I remember the one day, like that first game that we played, because my first game was actually a JV game, even though I was C team. I played C team like the whole year, but they brought us up for a JV game, and gosh, I remember I heard a lot of things about me, and I just thought it was like, so, I was just like, dang, man, like I think like, it is hard to find that balance, because at that time I was still, I think I was only barely 14, so like it's hard to hear that as a 14-year-old kid who feels very awkward, and like just people talking down on you and things like that. And because at the end of the day, like even though that whole freshman year, like I thought maybe like, okay, maybe these guys do like me. But like I look back in hindsight, I know they didn't. And at the end of the day, I just wanted them to like accept me, you know what I'm saying? And I knew I wasn't accepted. At least my freshman year, I knew I wasn't accepted. My dad stepped down from like the coaching thing after that, you know. I think he saw the effect it had on me too. You know, so it developed over time, you know, because then, you know, we were all playing basketball all our years, and I wasn't like one of the coach's sons anymore. So, but yeah, no, like it's hard. I can only imagine like what you went through, because like at the same point you want to play good, but at the same time, like you have, unfortunately, like, you know, I know we won't say any names, but like there was just some people in that program at the time that just, yeah, they were dicks. They were just hard to deal with. And even though you're not even doing anything to them, it almost like, I don't want to like call them out or feel like, but like they feel threatened, like by you.
Totally, yeah.
Like they feel threatened by this freshman coming in. Like, is this freshman going to take my spot or something? You know, it's just like, so I can only imagine what you went through. But yeah, no, that's what I talk about like with Dave, because him and I freshman year, we did not get along. But then like my junior year, I'm hanging out with this guy all the time. We're going to like games together. I even remember one time at a party, me and Dave you know, we just got too wild one night, and homeboy like broke one of my tables, and I'm like, this guy, bro. First time I ever got in trouble, like seriously in trouble. It's all good though. It's all good. It was in memories, but
yeah, totally. Yeah.
But like, you know, I think like that was like, it's cool to like, I wish I could have been like more like, kind of like you said, like at the time, I think I was just, you know, you learn as you grow, because like obviously now, like if we were in that situation and the mentality we have now, obviously I think it would have been a lot different. Like, wouldn't like want to fight with them, but be like, screw you, get off my back. If you don't like it, then I'm still here. Like, you know, this is what the situation is. So I didn't tell the coach to put me on varsity. You were just picked to be on it, you know? And the same thing is like, I didn't tell, like I say my freshman year, like I remember my dad had to address them, because there was rumor around the whole thing of like people talking crap about me. And you remember Doyle being the coach at the time. That was, I think, his first year with the program. And like he had to address them. He's like, look, even though he's my son, Doyle's the one telling me to play all these minutes. Doyle's the one that's telling me to do this, do that. Like, you know, I'm not the one controlling that. He's like, so like, and I think that made it even worse in hindsight, because people are like, oh, why does he have to address this, you know? But like, it was true. I'm like, I'm not the one, like my dad had to express, like, he's not the one that just wants to like, oh, play my son, or my son has to play all these minutes and like all this. Like, ultimately the head coach has the final say so, and that's what he was telling them to do. So, but like, I look back at it now, I wish I could have just stood up for myself. Like, hey, like, I'm still on this team. Like, I just want to win at the end of the day. I'm not even trying to like say like I'm the coach's son or be the superstar player. I'm just happy that I'm on a team. Like, I finally made a basketball team. Like I said, like I was cut my 7th and 8th grade year, and I was crushed, bro. Like, I was so crushed in middle school that I didn't make the teams. So I was just happy to be on a team, like in general. I wasn't trying to be like a showboat, or, oh, like I'm the coach's son, so I'm gonna just, you know, I can do whatever I want. I wasn't nothing like that. It was just more in the sense of, you know what, I'm so happy to be on this team. But it did make it rough, because obviously I was not really well liked, because that, you know, I think him being a part of the staff was very hard for, you know, and I get it, like, because I do see it. You see it nowadays too, like coach's son, like, you know, and you do see, unfortunately, some coaches' sons kind of get more of the star light, because that, you know, obviously their son's the coach, or their dad's the coach or something, you know. I don't think it was anything like that for like when I was younger, just because, again, I was just happy to be on a team. I wasn't trying to go out there and be like this superstar kid or something like that. I think I was just so amped up and happy because I finally made it, like, you know what I'm saying? But then unfortunately the word got out that, oh, I only made it because my dad's a coach, you know? So I'm just like, fuck. So I think, like, honestly, I didn't start enjoying basketball, like in high school at least, until sophomore year, because then I finally made it without my dad being there or something like that. So I'm like, can you guys like finally just give me that respect that we can all play together, and like I'm not here just because of my dad, you know, like. So that's when it finally became fun. Because I will say, like, my freshman year of high school, I remember that being very difficult just because of that aspect that went into it. Like, I was happy at first, but then as the season progressed on, it just got worse and worse. And, like, I kind of felt like that outsider that everyone didn't like because I was, like, and in reality, like, I wasn't trying to like be a showboat or anything like that. I was just happy to be part of it. I'm like, I'm finally on the team, but then it just took the joy out of it because I was like, fuck, because everyone's just like, coach's son, this guy, like, So I'm just like, ugh, that was rough. But I wish, like, yeah, just like what we know now, we could like stand up for it. We just learned that as we grow, unfortunately. Because I was so timid at the time. I'm like, I'm not gonna say anything. So even though like we took it and like you could see it, like, yeah, I wish like I had that ability to kind of speak up for myself more. Like, I feel like I can do that now. Obviously, we're grown, but like I just tell my younger self, like, come on, bro, like just speak up for yourself. Like me, I would just kind of take it, just kind of, so.
It is kind of crazy that you went from not making the team in 7th and 8th grade to playing college ball. Actually, I didn't even know that you didn't make the team back then.
Yeah, no, I didn't make it either year.
So for your middle school, you didn't make the team for basketball?
No, I remember 7th grade, I knew I was kind of on the fence just because I knew like I could play, but I don't think I did enough in the tryouts to like really show that like, I could like be a part of the team.
Yeah.
8th grade year, I was more crushed just because I worked that like, I was like, oh, I'm going to make it this year. Like, I'm going to make sure and be more aggressive. And I will say, like, I remember doing progressively pretty good in the tryout as I can remember. And then I didn't make it again. And I was like, dang, like, this sucks. Like, I was really crushed my 8th grade year because I was just like, I knew 7th grade year, like, yes, I was sad, but I was like, okay, just next time you go, like, you gotta just show that you can play. Like, I just felt like I didn't show that I couldn't play, but I didn't do enough to like really stand out, if that makes sense, my 7th grade year. So my 8th grade year, I was just crushed because I was just like, dang, like, I did everything in this tryout. And like, I really showed that like, hey, I'm not like the best player, but I can play. Like, and then, yeah, man, it's actually funny, like, I didn't have like any like signing thing like when it came to like college basketball. It was more of I went to a tryout that they were having over there. And then to be honest, like I thought I did good in the tryout. I didn't think I did enough though. And then so like when I actually got like I got a letter in the mail of like they wanted to like offer me to come play. And it's so funny, like, at the time, again, like I said, I don't think I had to really develop my social skills too much. I was just more of, like, a quiet guy. I remember my parents being like, oh, my gosh, like, let's go. They're like, why aren't you more happy? I'm like, I am happy. But, like, I wasn't, like, like, so, like, let's go. Or, like, people, like, getting so excited for, like, their signing days. I didn't have anything like that. But, like, so I think it was, like, more of a shock because, like, I didn't even think I was going to make it. I just went to a tryout just to do it, because I was just like, why not, and then I actually ended up making the team. So it was like pretty cool. I think it was just more at the time I was like more shocked that I made it than anything. So like, and yes, I was excited. Like I was super excited, but I couldn't show it. It's weird. And I'm like that to this day, honestly. Like sometimes like they're like, aren't you excited? I'm like, yes, I'm very excited. I'm just not one of those like, like yeah, I get more excited. I get more like that for other people, not for myself. Like for like even like like you watching you do your lifting last year when I watched one of your competitions. I'm like let's go at it, like I'm screaming. But like for something for me, I'm like excited, but I don't show it like that. I only show it like that for like other people. It's weird. I don't know why. Like if someone does something great like that, I know I'm like let's go. I'm shouting, but for me, I'm just like. Yeah, like let's go. I guess I just don't show that type of emotion for myself, which I don't know if it's a bad thing or not because I'm still excited. I just don't show it, like because inside I'm like, let's go, like but yeah, I don't show it out there. I'm like,
Is it still like that in bowling or
bowling?
Like when you hit that 277, were you like? Or was it
honestly like I was more of like I didn't go like but I was more of like let's go. Like inside I'm like let's freaking go, bro. One day I hope to bowl 300. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but
dude, honestly, I think it actually will. Like this is actually a really cool concept to end it on since we've kind of been at it for a while. But I think you actually will bowl 300 at some point, man. And I say that because like I've never seen anybody just like so that game you bowled 277. There was everything was a strike except for one spare and one that wasn't a spare. Or
yeah,
right?
I struck the first 8 frames, and then the 9th frame I left 2 pins and got a spare, and then I struck, and then got like 9 on the last pin. So looking back at it, bro, I would actually be more hurt if I got a strike in the 9th frame and then strike, and then got a 9 for the very last ball, because then I would have gotten a 299. So that would have hurt more, bro.
That's wild. Actually, yeah, that makes sense though.
But yeah, no, man, like.
Because if you think about it, that's only 2 more strikes you needed to get 300,
Bro,
right?
I don't know if I've ever told you this, because I know we're going to end here soon, but I don't know if I ever told you this. I actually started going more into two-handed bowling, because I'm a two-handed bowler, because I don't know if I've addressed that yet. I didn't start two-handing until you, Ricky, and I just went bowling one time randomly. Yes. It was like over 3 years ago. We all just wanted to go. And I remember you trying it with like a house ball, you know, and those house balls don't hook as much as like, you know, obviously the ones you buy and everything like that. So I actually started learning how to hook it with the house ball, because my cousin, he had been doing it longer than me, and he was two-handed. Every time I tried before, I would just throw it into the gutter. Like I didn't know how to do it. So then like, I just remember all of us going one time and you were doing it, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try that too. And I actually started learning how to do it just with those house balls. And then once I kind of got the technique down, then I transformed it to like, you know, how I do it now, and I've never stopped it since. So I've actually been two-handed bowling ever since you and I and Rick went bowling that one time, because I don't know if I would have ever tried it again. Yeah, no, I swear, bro.
I didn't even know that, actually. I guess it didn't click to me that you started two-handed bowling at that point.
Yeah, like that's when I tried it. Like I was trying it more frequently, because I had tried it before, was awful at it. But then like it came into like my mind, because like we were just using the house balls that they have there. I'm like, maybe I should learn how to control it more with the house ball, because it's not gonna hook like super crazy with those ones, you know. So I actually started like to that day, and then we were trying it, and then I got a little better with the house ball, and then I kept on trying it. And then like for one of those like practice little things that we do on Wednesdays, they call it like colored pin bowling. So like people just bowl 3 games, you buy in, and like you can win like, you know, the colored pins, like you get $1 or something like that. Like it's just like a fun thing. So then I started going to those like every Wednesday, like with my grandpa and my uncle and them. And I started just trying it more until I actually felt more comfortable doing it. And so like now, yeah, I've been doing it ever since. And you know what's funny is, because I know like, you know, bowling's not a huge like, you know, thing like in the like compared to other sports, but a lot of people, like I would say like a lot of old timer people, they actually don't like two-handed bowling. They feel like it's cheating.
Really?
And it's more because they feel like you have your, because like, okay, so like I go like this instead of like, you know, the one hand and you like go like that. I go like this. So like I hold it and then I release it. They said that that's like extra support and that it's cheating, that like, you know, you're not really getting the release from like, and I'm like, to me, like anytime, because I've had a few people tell me, they're like, I don't like two-handed bowling. I'm just like, okay. I'm like, at the end of the day, because like there's so many different styles of bowling actually, like, and I've learned that as I started bowling. Like people throw it, like some people are right-handed, but they'll throw it on the left side and they'll throw it back up, like, you know. So like there's just so many different.
Curve it this way.
Yeah, so like they'll literally stand on like this side, everything like that. And like, so I'm left-handed, so obviously I throw it on the left side, and you're right-handed, you throw it on the right side. Some like right-handers will throw it on the left side and hook it like that.
Wow.
So like I just feel like there's so many, like I feel like not even just bowling, like sports in general, things evolve all the time. So I feel like a lot of the old timers are not gonna like, they're just gonna be like, well, this is the way that's supposed to be done. I feel like that's not just in bowling, it's just in general. Because yeah, like I've actually watched this documentary on it where like people get like, they don't like it and they feel like it's cheating. I'm like, at the end of the day, you have a ball, you have to throw it down the lane and hit 10 pins. I'm like, I don't think it matters how you do it. That's my personal opinion on it. Yeah, like, because some people have told me that they don't like it. They're like, it's cheating, or oh, that's not the real way of bowling. Oh, you're a two-hander. I'm like, so what? I'm like, yeah, bro. Like, and I never knew that was a thing until like last year, actually. Because I've seen two-handed, like, you know, when I started bowling and everything, but I didn't know like it was actually a controversial thing. People actually like, and then I watched this documentary on it, and then I've had a couple people tell me like, oh, you're a two-hander, oh, these two-handers, and I'm like, I didn't know that was even a thing. I just thought like some people bowl one-handed, some people bowl two-handed, but like honestly, the two-handed style is like actually like, there's a lot of people that are two-handed bowlers, and I just think some people don't care. Like they're like good stuff, like, you know, like, and I think that's cool. But I just think it's a lot of like, you know, those old timers, those traditionalists that like, oh, that's not the way you're supposed to do it. I'm like, No, like it's just it's there's like
So
this whole documentary on it actually
is
about
two-handed bowling like newer than one-handed bowling? Like
it actually. So I watched that documentary and it didn't get like actually introduced into like the like they call it PBA or something like that, like
Okay,
you know the
yeah.
professional bowlers. That didn't get introduced to like 2004ish, 2005, and it was still very new and people were like, what is this person doing, like, you know. So it is not like completely new, but it's definitely like a newer style. Like it definitely wasn't something that was happening like 30 years ago or something like that. So it's, I wouldn't say it's like completely new, but like as bowling has evolved, like like we'll watch some of these PBA bowling things now, and some of the best bowlers in the world are two-handed bowlers. Like you see, like when I watch some of those things, like half of them are one-handed, half of them are two-handed, or
Yeah.
sometimes I even see more two-handed. But like if you notice, like in football or like basketball, like not to like you know knock any of like the great people who used to play back then, but there's so much more athletic people in football nowadays than there was in like the 50s or 60s.
Yeah, yeah.
Same thing with basketball. Like there's so much more athletic people. Like, and that's not
It's
to
even
knock.
like that in powerlifting where there's
Yeah.
like no skill
Like
involved.
things
I mean,
just
maybe some
evolve.
skill,
Like things just constantly evolve as time goes on. So like I feel like that's the thing with like, even though it's not discussed a lot, obviously, like in the mainstream world, but like that's the same thing with bowling. It's just it's evolved. Like think people evolve. People find different ways to throw it. I just feel like I've always told them like at the end of the day, you throw the ball, you have to hit 10 pins. I'm like that's how I look at it. I'm like I don't care how you throw it.
Yeah. You know, funny enough, I used to not like bowling very much. I used to kind of think it was like like almost boring, I guess. You know,
Mhm.
like one of those sports where it was just frustrating, no reward sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until that day, I think it was that same day that maybe you started doing two-handed, but you taught me how to curve it.
Yeah.
And for some reason, that's like a whole mini game in itself. Like if
It
if
is,
you never
bro.
tried curving a bowling ball, you gotta go try that because it's actually really fun. Like now, every time I go bowling, which is not often, and I'm nowhere near as good as B or anything like that, but like it's just a fun game, just trying to get a good curve.
Just I think if you can get the satisfaction of the curve, you're like that's cool.
dude,
Like, you know what I'm
yes,
saying?
yeah,
Because like dude, like I said, like when I very first started, I would literally just like throw it like this and throw it straight. Try to throw it straight. And then like my grandpa tried to teach me how to go one-handed, and I was learning it a little bit, but I can't say I was really good. Because even when I started learning two-handed, bro, like I said, like my first year of bowling, I only averaged like a 120, like 121 or something like that. And then I slowly started getting to like 140s, 150s. It wasn't until literally this last year. I don't know what it was. If me just like, you know, repetition, you know, continuously doing leagues, things like that, until like my average like really jumped up, skyrocketed. Because like now I'm like in the 190s. And it's just like weird to like, because even it was like a shock for me because like I'm in like these 150s, right? And I'm thinking, oh, anywhere from like if I get like a 170 game, I'm happy, you know. I'm like that's a good game, you know. And now from like this past like from last summer to this summer, bro, like honestly, then maybe it's just like a competitive thing or like an expectation of me now that like I'm getting better. Like if I don't bowl like a 190 or up, I'm kind of like bugged. Not like I like, gosh, you see some people get like super upset, and I'm not gonna lie, when I first started bowling, just because of how competitive I am, I would get very upset. Not like punch things or anything, but like I get like just because like my competitive nature, I'm just like, bro, like what, like I suck, like you know,
it's
like
a frustrating sport,
it is
dude.
frustrating, bro. But like I've actually learned, like even when I am struggling, like dude, if you get in your head, like bowling's like a mind game. Like, so if you're upset, bro, and if you stay upset, you're not gonna do good. You're not gonna get any better. Like if you just stay upset. Like
that's good to know.
So,
actually,
like
'cause sometimes I like even though I barely go, whenever I do go, sometimes I'll just get in this mood where I'm just like, oh, I'm just.
Because my team, like if my team ever watches this, they'll probably laugh at me because like they've seen me get like, oh, I'm just like I'm pissed, bro. And like even now, because like sometimes like if I don't get a 190 plus, I'm just like. I'm bugged a little bit, you know. I'm not like over here, but like you can see in me, I'm just like, dang, bro. Like I'll like clap my hands. I'm just like come on, like you know, like I'll get a little like that, but nothing like you know how I used to be. I'll just get like a little like, just like, dang it, man, like because I know I can do better. But like it's funny because like sometimes I'll bowl like a 170 or something, or like have an off game, have a 160, and I'm like a year ago I would have thought that was great. Like I'm like over here like let's go, like that's a good score. And now that like I've been getting a lot better, it's like weird, man, because like if I don't get a 200, I'm like not satisfied. I'm like I'm just like, bro, like this is so, like I remember seeing bowlers like when I first started, they would get mad if they threw a bad strike, because there is such thing as like, you know, you throw it wrong but it still goes, like it's still a strike, and they'd be like, they'd shake their head, like, you know. Me, I don't care how I would get it. I don't care how I would get it. I just be like, I struck. Yeah. And now that, like, you know, I've developed it, sometimes I will throw a bad strike where I throw it on the other side, but it still hits. And I'm just like, bro, come on, that was a bad. But like, I get like that too.
That is wild, bro. Like, I can't even imagine how good you have to be at bowling to figure out when a bad strike even happens. Like,
so like, to kind of like, you know, summarize it in small terms. So like, you know, people who don't bowl, you'd probably think like throwing it straight down the middle is good, right? You're hitting that head pin just straight on. You actually don't want it to do that because it will split.
Okay.
So like you're right-handed. So like you want it to come at an angle and hit that front pin on the right side.
Yeah, okay. It's like kind of
Instead of it hitting straight on, you want it to hit the right side. So me, I'm left-handed. I want it to hit the left side. When I say a bad strike, they call it a Brooklyn strike. So say if I kind of overhook it and I hit the right side, and it strikes still, so like technically I'm trying to hit the left side, right? But I kind of overhooked it too much, but it still struck because I hit the right side of it. I kind of still consider that a bad strike, just because like I didn't hit where I was really wanting to hit, but I was still able to control it enough to where it got it. So that's what I mean like by bad strike. Sometimes you just, and I have seen some people like hit it head on and it still somehow strikes, and I'm just like, you know, so I think like just as you learn bowling or just learn any sport, and you know what like the good way to do it is. So like obviously sometimes people shoot a bad shot in basketball and you still make it, you know, it just happens. So that's the same thing with
like
bowling.
The accidental backboard shot.
Yeah, exactly. So like, and you don't think it's good, but then it went in, so you're like, all right, well it went in. So that's kind of how it is with bowling sometimes, like where like, you know, you don't throw it the way you thought you should have, and it might have not hit somewhere that you think that where it's supposed to, but it's still, all of them fell down. So that's what I mean like by a bad strike. And I'm just like, and I'm like, yes, I'm happy that I got a strike, but I'm just like, dang, like that was not a good ball. You know. And back then, like when I first started, I didn't care how I got it, bro. And I wasn't getting a lot of them, you know, I was still learning, but like every time I throw one, I was happy. I didn't care how I threw it. I was just like, let's go, that's a strike.
So I didn't even know the term Brooklyn until just last night when we were playing Wii Bowling, and you guys kind of explained it to me a little bit. Is there anybody that tries to go for Brooklyns? Is that a thing?
I can't say like me personally. I don't know anyone that's technically tried to go for like Brooklyns. Okay. We do make ongoing jokes, like, because you know bowling is you could literally like, I could throw my problem was like when I was bowling like 150s, like, you know, and getting a little better but not having the consistency, is I could literally throw a 220 one game and then I'd throw a 120 the next game. So like I was very inconsistent. Sometimes like me or one of my teammates, like we've thrown like 2 Brooklyns in a row or something, or like, you know, we're struggling on the there is times, bro, like I am struggling on the left side to get a strike, and like I've gone 3-4 frames without getting a strike, and then I finally throw a strike and it happens to be a Brooklyn. So then we're just like, go Brooklyn, go. So like it's an ongoing joke of like, I guess like I'm going Brooklyn, but like I don't know if I've ever technically seen someone try to like hit Brooklyns. I feel like that's difficult.
Yeah, that would be a wild style.
And honestly, like I feel like it's not reliable, just because like, yes, you do get Brooklyn strikes sometimes, but they're not as common as you think, just because I feel like as you miss your mark, and even though it gets there, if it like near the end your ball's dying out, so that's why sometimes even if you hit Brooklyn and it might look technically good, you'll leave some pins. So it happens sometimes, but I can't say I've ever seen someone try to go Brooklyn. It just happens, you know, sometimes, because I don't know. I mean, I would love to see it if someone does do it, but like I feel like if someone were to try to go Brooklyn all the time, they probably don't have the highest average. Just because that's probably it's not the way to go. I will say like even one of my teammates that I was bowling with in New Orleans, he throws a backup ball. It's cool to see that though. Like I'm like, I don't know how y'all do that, because like we have this term for like bowlers. You can throw a perfect ball and you leave that corner pin on the right side. We call that's the 10 pin. And then I'm left-handed, so I can throw a perfect ball and leave the corner pin on, and it's called the 7 pin. And I swear to God, bro, like that's the worst pin in the world for me. Like I hate that pin with all my heart. I can honestly say for how much I bowl, I still only get that pin maybe 30% of the time at most. Like, you know, I just struggle with it. But then I see people throw backup and I'm like, bro, I wish I could learn that. I tried it before and I hurt my wrist. So I feel like I'd have to practice it more, because if I throw it back up, then I could just like curve it to the right and then it just easily goes.
So backup is when you curve it the opposite way.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm actually talking to this two-handed bowler who is a backup two-handed bowler. I've never seen that. I've seen it for spares, but he's a right-handed guy and he's in my league on Wednesdays. And I saw him and he throws a normal ball, like his normal ball, two-handed on the left side, even though he's right-handed. I'm like, so you see, like,
every time he does that.
Yeah, so like you see so many different styles, bro, and it's crazy. Like, if you were to tell me 4 years ago that I'm like this into bowling, I'd be like, bowling, like, because honestly before then, yeah, like I grew up around it a little bit because like my grandpa, my grandma and them, and even my parents did it for a little bit, you know. So like I grew up around it, but I never thought of, oh, bowling is fun. Like, you know, I only went when like friends or gatherings are going, you know. I never looked at it as a sense of, oh, this is something that I can do. And then like, yeah, now it's like the main thing that I do, which is kind of funny. Like I would have never it's just funny because like I would never consider myself a bowler, you know. Like, you know, because like I grew up not doing it, so like, and obviously now that I do it, I'm like, dang, I wish I would have done this my whole life, you know. It's just a thing that I picked up, and it's pretty fun, man. I hope, like I said, one day I might get that 300. We'll see. To be continued.
I think you will, dude. Well, B, I really appreciate you doing this with me, man. It's been super
dude,
fun.
I appreciate you having me, my man. Thank you for taking the time out and letting me come by. And,
of course.
Yeah, man. We'll catch up next time.
Heck yeah, man. And then this shirt that I'm wearing right here, I got some merch out now. So if anybody likes this shirt, hit me up. I got some now. I got this one and 2 other different designs.
Please do.
And then Brandon, do you have any social media that you want to shout out or anything like that?
Social media. I mean, I do have socials. I don't get on them too often anymore. But if y'all would love to follow me on Instagram, bsizzle_24, that'd be great. No,
cool. I'll put his Instagram in the description below.
But no, I'm not too much into social media. But it was just great to come talk to you. I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you, bro.
Alrighty, bro. Take care, man.